Team MBS Draft Central. Of course, I'm Jeff Barnes along with Greg Rector and Bill Carroll. And we're talking day 3 gems tonight. We have a lot of guests coming through, the next few weeks. So you're going to see a lot of young faces on here to go along with the old grumpy ones you see every week. So by all means, we encourage you to keep watching, keep enjoying, keep learning about this wonderful thing we call the draft. Greg,
Bill and I are not grumpy old men. If you want to go into the old category, then that's fine and dandy. But don't you do that to me.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about point of intersection of life, right? So this is how we're going to start it off. Since you said the old part first, right? Bill, what year did you play? What years did you play at Norfolk State?
So by play, you mean rundown on special teams, I'm guessing.
Well, you suited up, which counts as playing.
Suiting up. So I didn't play my first couple years there. I made a pact with 2 of my friends. Chucky, what was Chucky's last name? He played at Central Connecticut. He was a little running back, and then he transferred to Norfolk State. And we made a pact. And Andre Wade, who was from New York. My friend Andre Wade, who was from what's that called? Yonkers. I think he's from Yonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he's from and we all made a pact to walk on. And one of us didn't show up. The guy who actually had played college football before, I don't know what happened. Like, he was the guy we thought was going to be we were kind of going with him, and he didn't show up. So Andre, who actually played, I felt betrayed because Andre had, you have that friend that like poor mouths, like, I play a little bit. Andre shows up, runs a 4.39, right? I was so mad at him. And I ran about 3/10 of a second slower. Almost, I think 4.67. I think it was probably something like that. And so I got moved away from corner to safety, as you probably figured out how that happens, Jeff. And I was buried on the depth chart, but I did man L3 on kickoff coverage in the 87-88 and part of the 88-89 season at beautiful Norfolk State University.
So here's the point of intersection. In the stands during those years, especially Labor Day weekend, was a young Jeff Barnes.
Oh.
All right. So when we talk about pass crossing, you'd be surprised how many parallels there are. But yes, in the stands during those games was a young Jeff Barnes, especially Labor Day weekend, because
Labor Day weekend.
I have family that came through Norfolk State. My sister's an alum. I have cousins that went there. One that still works there. He's a part of the campus security there.
Oh, okay.
All right, yeah. So, but I spent many Saturday nights there at then Old Dominion Stadium.
Yeah, the old Foreman Field. Yes. Which now I think it's the soccer team at Old Dominion now plays on it. They now have their own. They now have a football stadium. Yeah, and we have our football. I won't call it a stadium. We have a football field now on our campus as well, named for the late great Dick Price.
So yeah, that was my first exposure because my uncle, who I said the cousin that's still involved at Norfolk State, was a season ticket holder. So we went with him, and he also went on the road with the team. So
wow,
he was out. So when y'all played at Virginia State, he was there.
Then he may have seen my one recorded statistic. I in a driving rainstorm against Shaw, I blocked a punt. So if he goes on the road, he might have seen it.
Which another connection. I have cousins that went the Green Run. Bill Carroll went the Green Run. So yeah. So we talk about the age thing. He may be a little bit ahead of me. We still see the cross paths, right? Intertwine. Before we got into this thing called scouting. Right?
There we go.
Speaking of scouting, let's talk day 3.
Let's.
All right. This is going to be the day where the money's made. And people go, what do you mean? The prospects get paid more day 1, day 2. Yes, the prospects get more. But what keeps your scouts employed, what keeps your GMs hired is day 3. What talent you could bring in on day 3 from anywhere in the football world. It doesn't just have to be Power 5, right? That's going to keep your team getting better, keep your team winning, and most importantly, keep you from spending a lot of money in free agency.
Bingo.
All right, so let's get into the guys that we're going to see day 3 that we believe are going to be valued to teams.
And I'll mention, if you want to look at the Rams Super Bowl team, not that they're the only great example of this, but they dabbled obviously in free agency, and some trades and things like that. They traded a lot of their early draft picks, in fact, away for years in order to set themselves up for Super Bowl, and it worked. Now, it doesn't always work, but it worked for them. But so many of their most important players on that team were fourth on after, right, draft picks, including some of the best players on the team were guys that joined the team through the middle and late rounds. So yes, I think that day 3, particularly for good teams, right, is incredibly important because you have more churn because people want your players, right? The one good thing about being a terrible football team is people don't come and poach your players because they aren't any good. Well, I don't know if that's a good thing, but it simplifies certain things when people don't come looking for your players because they aren't good enough. The one good thing about being, I don't know, the Patriots or, the Jets or some of those teams are at the, have those bottom tier rosters is that whatever you do is going to make your team better because you can only go up, if you're the Titans and some of these other teams. But I really like day 3 in this draft, actually. I really do. I think there's going to be some pass rushers nabbed day 3 because they aren't the right length or the right height or the right whatever that are going to wildly outperform people's expectations. I think somebody's going to find the Kenny Moore, right? They're, that's going to put their team over the top. Somebody's going to find their, Danny Amendola, right? Who's going to lock down that slot position on offense for them. Somebody's going to find their Jason Kelsey, right? Who was undersized, and somebody's going to find players that are going to put their team, like I said, over the top. Because I'm not going to say it's not easy to pick anywhere. I don't care if you're picking one of one, first pick, first round. There's challenges associated. But where you separate the teams that truly understand how to build a team through the draft, that's where after pick 100, you really separate, the men from the smart men.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get our guests coming through, let's dig in. And, I think we hit pretty good when we talked quarterbacks about the quarterback position. We got pretty deep into that. But the running backs, one of the deepest positions in this draft, I think we left some meat on the bone there. So let's dig into that, right? There are some guys out there that people still aren't talking about. There are guys out there who people love, but they're not exactly on the highest on a lot of the boards, right? For example, Raheem Sanders, South Carolina.
Yep.
A guy that's not high on a lot of boards. Pretty solid film, not great. I mean, I don't expect him to come in and be a 20 carry a game guy, but he's a guy I can see coming into the league that's going to be a committee back. Maybe play some special teams, get you some carries, get some catches out of the backfield. Not a special player, but a quality runner.
Yep. James Joyce out of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's another guy who is going to be a perfect committee back. Again, he's not high up on boards, but if you watched his play, this guy is capable of being an NFL running back. I mean, it's that simple.
Yep.
Everybody always has their idea of the running back and his total numbers and all that jazz. This is a 17-game NFL season right now, over 18 weeks. If you don't have somebody who can back up your starting running back, you look at the Raiders, you look at the Cowboys' struggles last year, boy, oh boy, was it horrible.
Right. Cleveland had issues, I think would be a nice way of putting it, at the running back position. Sadly, we probably have seen if not the end, then close to the end of the career of one Nick Chubb, who at one point was probably about as good as it got in the league at the position. We clearly are in an age, once again, we talked about, I'm going to use the term vintage. Since we're vintage gentlemen, I think we all remember the days when the most important team, player on many teams was their running back or running backs, right? We watched, I think if you take all of the pass attempts in Bob Greasy's Super Bowls and put them all together, I think the number still is less than 32.
Yeah.
And he was in 3 Super Bowls. So that should let people know how different things were. And in fact, the game where he had the most attempts, that was when they lost, right? When he kept that sucker into single digits, they won. But
Terry Bradshaw had 7 300-yard passing games in his career.
Yep.
They had Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer. Hello.
Right.
Those two gentlemen did a whole lot of work, a whole lot,
Yep.
But again, we're in this new era where it's all the quarterback all the time and all that nonsense that it drives me off the deep end, as you guys both know.
Right.
I really feel that the NFL this year is going to come back to reality because the 450-yard games that we were seeing before dropped off. Thank you to the two deep safeties and all that fun sort of stuff. Right. Good, because NFL football, it is about running the ball and pounding your opponent. That's what the NFL has always been about.
Sure. I'm going to mention a few other guys that I think are going to have really nice NFL careers. Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. He's another committee back type, but there's a place for him. We'll see. Some people think RJ Harvey goes early. I think the NFL likes him a little less than Draft Twitter likes him. I think he finds a way probably into the 4th round, but I think he's going to be an important part of somebody's rotation. And frankly, the term bell cow back, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 people left in the NFL, doesn't really exist, right? I mean, there's only a handful of guys where it is a sensible thing to say to describe them. But there's definitely a place for guys like Quentin Cooley, right? He is another one of those bowling ball backs, formerly of Wake Forest and Liberty. Similar to RJ Harvey, right? Another of those people who's, the old rolling ball of butcher knives and all that good stuff, just almost as wide as he is tall.
LaQuint Allen from Syracuse is in the same category to me. Jaquindon Jackson from Arkansas. These guys are all capable of helping out NFL teams. This draft class is so deep in running backs that it's just not even funny. It really isn't.
Right. Absolutely. And there are guys who you didn't see at All-Star games.
Yep.
Who you didn't see at pro days. I mean, not pro days, at the combine. But you go to the pro days and you see him and go, wait. They haven't talked about this guy all through the process. That's how backed up this position is. Mm-hmm. Okay? Nobody mentioned Naquan Wright from South Florida.
Sure.
Right? And is a guy I watched for the past 2 years. A quality runner. He's got some juice to him. He gives you a lot. Is he, once again, the most dynamic runner? No. Is he a guy that's probably going to get called day 3? I doubt it. I think he's going to be a guy that gets invited somewhere to a rookie camp because his class is deep. In the lesser class, he may get a call day 3, but not in this class. This class, when you talk about grades in the middle of the board, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round grades, that's going to be such a loaded portion of teams' boards. Before you get to the back end of those guys are going to be filling up roster spots left and right. And I think it's going to kind of like how we had that run day 3 last year. Yep. That may start on day 2 this year.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get the 1 in the 1st round. Jonty's going first. I think that's the low-hanging fruit of it all. We get a second one that sneaks in, maybe into the back end of it. Maybe somebody at the back end of the 1st says, you know what, let's take the running back now. Let's take Hampton.
Well, not according to our favorite guy out there, Mel Kiper, who keeps putting a Hampton at number 12 for the Cowboys in
Yeah,
every. I mean, it's just like,
yeah.
come on, no, that's not the position that you're going to take Hampton at. I'm sorry, he's just not.
But they're not even going to take anybody at that point unless it's Jonty.
That's
Because
right.
plain and simple, if you're looking at how they're looking at running backs now, the last one they took high was Zeke. And the reason why, because they felt he was special and he was going top 5 to somewhere. If he wasn't going to Dallas, he was going somewhere
Well,
else.
no, the last two guys are Bijan Robinson and Jameer Gibbs.
No, I'm talking about as far as Dallas.
I was as
far as
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Right? When Zeke was gone, they had a chance to draft somebody. What did they do? They passed, right? They devalued the running back position in their mind. Well, they kind of got a little more value for it this year after what they saw last year. But do they go to that point where if Jonty is gone at 12, do they go running back? I don't see it. I see them waiting to round 2, round 3 to go get their running back, possibly even round 4. So, especially with the guys that they signed, they believe those guys can split time with a young running back. So, I don't see them pushing the issue at 12 for running back.
No.
So while Mel's been
unless Mr. Genty falls, and at number 11 you hear that name, and then oh my God, Jerry will be up, and I mean he'll be excited like you wouldn't believe. He will go absolutely bonkers to get the Frisco, Texas native Ashton Genty as his running back. He will go off the deep end.
You want to see an octogenarian run for the phone? Let Jonty fall as well.
Exactly. I mean, it will be so quick, and it will be funny to watch because Jerry he might need the defibrillator. He might. But again, that's just what the Cowboys are going to end up doing. But the quality of running backs that nobody talks about. As you both know, I despise that school up north, but East Lansing, Michigan State has a young man who had 5 yards of carry behind a very, very bad offensive line.
Correct.
But Nate Carter, you look at his pro day stats and you just go, oh wow. So there's another one. I mean, they're just everywhere.
Absolutely. I was just about to mention Nate Carter when you mentioned that. Oh, perfect. I don't even have to do it.
Keon Mosey from Miami. He's not getting drafted, but he's a football player, right? As they say, people like to say that football player, but he is. He's got good quickness. He's powerful, right? Started his career, I believe, at Kansas State before he landed finally at the Miami Redhawks. And I believe the Chiefs brought him in a couple of days ago for one of their local days or whatever they call it. But there's a place for a guy like him. He has, the bona fides, whatever term you want to use, for what, especially in the modern NFL backfield where you've got 3 guys touching the ball. One touching it 14 to 20 times, one touching it somewhere between 6 and 8, and one touching it 2 or 3. But, another one of those undersized, whatever term you want to use, guys, he's 5'6" and 7/8 and 180 pounds, sort of Sproulsian, I guess. But despite his lack of bulk, he's proven, because I watched, he can run between the tackles. Now, you may not want him doing it that often, but he's done it. Had a decent pro day, a really good 3-cone, 6.82 3-cone, so shows that quickness. Ran in the low 4.5s, which is not blazing, especially for a guy his size, but he's got good enough hands. He can catch the ball. The one thing you sort of worry about is blitz pickup. He gives good effort, but just because of his size, he's going to struggle a little bit, especially against bigger pass rushers. But there's a place for him in the NFL.
Jada Byers, Virginia Union. Oh no, I said another HBCU guy. Oh my! But he deserves an opportunity to be an NFL running back.
Yep.
Same with Trey Stewart.
Jackson
State. Yeah, Jackson State.
Yep.
I mean, everybody's going to talk about the low-hanging fruit, like the Marcus Yarnses of the world.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of guys you dig around to in this class. Jaelyn White from Georgia Southern, another mid-major.
Yep. Taj Brooks from Texas Tech is going to have a nice career.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to grab Corey Kiner as
I loved his film. Loved his
another one of those super powerful, stocky, so hard to knock him off his pegs. I mean, he's
and another guy that Jeff and I both love is Ollie Gordon II, who is not high up on anybody's boards.
Well, yeah, I mean the 40-time sort of.
But again, a 40 time for a running back is meaningless. Right. It is totally meaningless.
Well, I wouldn't say meaningless, but for the kind of back he is, it doesn't mean what it would mean for a back who's 180 something pounds.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we're talking about a guy 230, 235.
Right. Guys who play in the mid to upper 230s.
Yeah.
Now, Kyle Monangai.
Oh, Kyle Monangai. Yeah.
See, I always put the wrong emphasis in the wrong place. But yeah, there you go. Another one of those guys. I like him, but that one thing I hate is too many of these guys are used sideways. So you don't get a full taste of what they can do going downhill consistently. So he's one of those guys I think has that downhill ability, but he was used so much going sideways. I think kind of robbed him of production.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I like the guys that get downhill right away. It's what you mentioned, Taj Brooks, right? That's a guy that doesn't waste much time. John Quavius, a.k.a. Woody Marks, is going to be somebody's third down back.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice little career. Devin Neal is going to carve out a nice little career as a sort of Derek Ward-esque part of somebody's three-back backfield. He'd be the middle back, right? You have your big back and your scat back. He's the medium back, right? He'll be somebody's medium back, that guy who's between the two. For somebody.
Let's go to our positions, cornerback and safety. Hello.
Yay.
Let's go. Mello Dotson, Kansas. Kobe Bryant is getting all the love and attention, but Dotson is just as good a corner as Kobe Bryant is, in my opinion, because he was tested more than Kobe was.
Right.
And he survived quite nicely. Thank you very much.
Yep. 100%. Like that's the thing I often look for, is to see the guy that managed to hold up, right?
Exactly.
They kept coming at you, right? They kept coming at you. And you just managed to hold up.
Yep.
I'm interested to see how Phil Maffa works out, another big back, right?
Yes.
Who looked better the year before. I don't know if it's a nagging injury situation or maybe they made a shift in blocking scheme that I have to go back and rewatch some things, but I liked him more before. Maybe he gained some bad weight. Like I have to figure out what happened because I liked him more previously. And, he was on my preseason top 10 and played his way out off of it. But even with that having been said, he still had a solid college career and he's a big guy who, no fiddling around. He just comes pretty much straight downhill. And that's what he needs to do. I mean, when you're a 230 plus pound back, we talked about the big guys, and you look for guys that just hit it, right? Especially for bigger guys. There's no reason to dance around if you're 230 plus pounds. Just go.
Yep. Billy Bowman, the safety of Oklahoma.
Oh, right. Yes, Billy. Well, that's the question. What is Billy Bowman, right? I mean,
that's that. Yes, we can all say what he actually is, but he would be a safety in the NFL, and he's going to be a special team guy.
That's why I know he's going to show up, right?
That's right. He's going to be there for you on special teams.
Yeah.
Right. And in a three safety set. Oh, Billy Bowman's here. I can use him.
Right.
Because the days of the old free safety versus a box safety are going by the bird.
Yeah, well, at least in part because they're making you, right? Because if you're a box safety, you're just telling them where to throw the football, right? Mike Martz and guys like that would literally draw up their game plan based on, well, who's the guy in the secondary who doesn't like to cover? Well, that's the guy we're going to make cover all day long, right? We're going to take our slot receiver and run him in front of him, and then we're going to have our Z, run a little bang aid or a little or a dig or something behind him. We're going to high-low that guy all day, right? We're going to make his life hell. And so you couldn't survive. Well, we talked about this, right? The Cowboys safety Roy Williams went in a 2-year period from being a second-team All-Pro to a guy that was playing less than 40% of the snaps, and he was out of the league.
Yep.
Because he just got targeted over and over and over again in the pass game.
And we saw it at that time. You saw the transitioning, because before you could stick him at strong safety and let him cover a tight end, and it was athlete on athlete, and he was the better athlete.
That's
but
right.
By the time he got to his prime in the NFL, the Shockies, the Kellen Winslow Jr.'s, and all those guys were coming in, and they were a lot more athletic. The Jimmy Grahams, the guys that could stretch you vertically, they could beat you on routes. They could do so much to you that all of a sudden you weren't as good a player. And then you try to put him in deep coverage. He didn't have the range to play 2 halves of the field. So he kind of struggled there. If you flooded him with routes, he would make some bad choices. So they kind of put him, they kind of made the Cowboys put him in a lot of bad situations. And, after in Dallas, of course, he goes to Cincinnati. And Cincinnati and Zimmer tried to save him, but you couldn't. It was just he became the dinosaur. He was past his time period. If he played in the 90s when Dave Fulcher and those guys are running around and Joey Browner, he would have been just fine.
David Fulcher entered the league at about 234 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and Roy Williams was pretty close to that. Remember Parcells saying he was a biscuit away from being a linebacker. Yeah,
so away from playing Will linebacker. Exactly. I remember that quote. Guys who are not a biscuit away from playing Will linebacker, or I really like day 3 at safety. I am, in fact, I am now an ordained minister in the Sankarite Church. If somehow any of the teams that I like end up with Jonas Sanker somewhere in that round 3, round 4, or after range, I think he's an eventual NFL starter. Yep. He's smart. He can hit. He can cover. I don't know what he can't do, quite frankly. I think he can cover slots. I think he can cover tight ends and running backs. He can even cover outside a little bit. Not elite level wide receivers, but he can cover your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. I like him a great deal. Once again, I am an ordained minister in the Sankarite Church. If you would like to hear the good news of Jonas Sanker, come see me. I also really like Craig Woodson from Cal. That's another guy who a steal. Truly instinctive, a better athlete than I expected. And I was a fan of his. And I was pleasantly surprised with how well he moved, how well he tested. Looked fantastic. And once again, really, really a smart football player, which you have to be. If you're going to be a safety, you have to be smart. But he's a really, really smart player. I'm a huge fan.
And he's always down at the bottom of the 7th round in all of these drafts. He's picked at the bottom of the 7th round. I think he goes higher than that, but
on my board I have him right behind Jalen Reed and right above Dante Trader.
Yeah.
So he's right in that range there.
Yeah. And since we're talking about people that people are sleeping on, what about Marquise Siegel from Kansas State?
Yep.
Worst case scenario, you're going to get a special teams monster. But I think he could be, especially in teams that like to play big nickel, he can be that 3rd safety.
Mm-hmm.
He's not huge, but he's got enough size. 5'11", 3/8", 199 pounds, and he tested ridiculously well. Now, I don't think he plays as fast as he tested. He doesn't play 4.37. He plays more like 4.47, which is still fine. That's fine. But he is an athletic, explosive guy who is asked to do a fair amount in the system they run at Kansas State. So I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the transition. But I think initially, I think he's a reserve, like I said, especially if you want to play big nickel. I think he plays in that big nickel set. And then I think eventually he could become a starter either at free or strong. I think he could do either one.
Yeah.
Though he's not exactly a giant. And then this guy's probably pushed his way maybe out of the, round 3. The projections on him used to be round 3, round 4, and then he had a really good Senior Bowl, and then he tested crazily well at the combine. I'm a huge Caleb Branshaw guy, and he may have played his way into late round 2 maybe, but he came in at the combine and just destroyed it. Some people were asking me, is he a corner? And it's like, no. I mean, you can play him at corner, but that's a safety thing. Right? 5'11", 3, 197 pounds. Once again, a bit on the smaller side, but he's a free safety. You can play deep middle, deep half. He can cover slots. So if you want to use him as a slot defender, you can do that. Put up a ludicrously fast 4.33. Knocked out 16 reps on the bench, which I think was third amongst the free safeties at the combine. But once again, safeties are basically just big corners nowadays, or corners who tackle. So that number is actually lower than it used to be maybe 10, 15 years ago, where there were guys in the 20s, and he would have been sort of in the middle of the pack with 16 reps. So nowadays, 16 reps puts you pretty close to the top. But he just had a terrific day. 40-inch vert. 10, 9 broad. But also looked good in the drills, and a really smart guy. When you talk to him, it's like, oh, this guy knows football. If I somehow get Ranshaw and Sanker, I'm set at safety for a decade.
Let's slide into some of the thinner positions on a lot of people's boards, where day 3, some of these players are going to get fought over because there's not that many of them that teams are overly interested in drafting. Prime example, just look at inside linebackers.
Right, I was about to say, that's the one that people complain to me the most about, is that position, right?
Yeah.
Once you get past Campbell, Stutzman, Mondon,
Bassa.
That's probably it for guys to go in the first 60-something picks. So everybody else, the third round and later. We had Chris Paul on, who I think has fought his way into the top 100 picks, or right on the edge of it.
Yeah.
I think that guys like Teddy Buchanan, speaking of Cal's got some dudes this year.
They do.
I think he might miss the top 100, but I think he's somewhere in that 100 to 150 range. Danny Stutzman has turned himself. Well, I mentioned him already. He's turned himself into a guy who's going to go probably in the first 2 rounds, third at the latest, probably.
Let's talk. Let's talk about guys like you said Buchanan, so we'll leave him off. But Cody Lindenberg, Minnesota.
Lindenberg, Bam Martin. First of all, Sam Martin Scott, right? That's a Sam Bam or whatever. I love the name Bam. First of all, for football, period. But for a linebacker, what better name than Bam? We had Bam Morris back, and they used a running back. This is even better.
Yes,
I think that kid, Bam Morris Scott from South Carolina, once again, worst case scenario, you're going to get a guy who's going to probably lead you in special team tackles. But I think he could eventually find his way on the field in sort of that hybrid linebacker, overhang defender role that is becoming more and more prevalent, especially as the teams play, you're playing only 2 linebackers, and one of them's a real linebacker, and the other one's, like I said, hybrid. A guy who's a little bit linebacker, a little bit safety. And I could see him becoming that.
Yeah, Jackson Woodard.
There we go.
UNLV.
Yep.
So kind of that, athletic tweener type.
Yep.
Not the biggest frame, but overall guy who's physical between the tackles, has some range.
Yep.
I wouldn't say he's a liability in coverage. I'd say he's solid in coverage. I think he can get better. I think he's the guy that's going to have to work his way up from depth. but could potentially be a contributor with improvement. Jamon Dumas Johnson, Kentucky. Is another. Another guy, a little more of the thumper of the group, but once again, the questions with some of these guys are going to be range, speed, coverage.
That's the whole shooting match nowadays.
Yeah, right.
Coverage and run.
Tyreen Powell from Rutgers.
Yes, Powell, Maui Goa from Miami.
Yep.
Eccles from North Carolina.
Power Eccles, this guy's going to get drafted late, but drafted. Yep.
Yeah. Jamie Petway from South Florida. Another guy, played behind absolutely nothing in front of him. I mean, if there's anybody I felt bad for, it was guys like Petway, who basically, you talk about defensively, one for their blitz packages and pass rush and certain coverages, they would have been a disaster because they were allowed a lot of guys to come running right at him. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that you're going to see is going to be the common theme when we get to these inside linebackers on day 3 is which teams value their ability to run in space and cover, and which ones think that, well, there may be a liability at some of that, but they're thumpers inside, so we can use that, and we'll take a chance on that.
I'll give you a player that I think some people are seeing. Some see him inside, some see him outside. Sean Delac from Buffalo is a really good football player.
Yes.
And in the old days, he would have been a Sam linebacker, but there is no. In fact, I wrote an article about it. It's I don't know if it ever got published, but it's sitting there. Waiting to be published for Team MBS Media about the quote unquote death of the Sam linebacker. But that in the old days is what he would have been, right? He would have been a Sam linebacker. And, obviously Bill Romanowski or Brian Cox, or Jeremiah Trotter Sr. isn't walking through that door anymore, right? The game has changed. But there's a place still for a guy like Sean Delac. If you do jump into your odd front sometimes, then he's going to be either your strong outside or your strong inside linebacker. And then if you are going to play that 4-2, he's your real linebacker. He's not the guy who's a hybrid. He's a real linebacker. Tremendous tackler. And he had a really good pro day. Once again, a guy I would love to have seen, show his wares at the Senior Bowl and all that good stuff. But, had a 35.5-inch vert, a 4.55, pro day 40, which, still means more like 4.62 or something, but that's still fine. 25 bench reps. He just had a really good day. And once again, he's not a workout warrior. Throw on the tape. That guy is a football player. And he had a ludicrous 82 solo tackles. I mean, 82 total tackles is something that some linebackers brag about. He had 82 solo tackles.
Yeah.
What that tells you is this guy is instinctive, athletic, and extremely football smart. Big fan of his.
Yeah.
All right. How about we flip to the other side? The center position. Okay, we know there are going to be a lot of guys that are playing guard. They'll be probably playing center.
Correct.
Instead, and they're going to probably go before the centers go. So day 3, the guys that are natural centers are going to be hanging around. Some teams will pick them up. Let's talk about some of those guys.
Yep.
Jake Majors.
Yep.
Seth McLaughlin.
Right. And
now, does Monheim go day 2?
I don't know. In this class, I really don't know if he's going to go day 2.
Great question.
Because he's one of the better natural centers. So does he go in the back end of 3, or does he wait till day 3?
And that's a good question.
Yeah.
He didn't have quite the. I thought he was going to have a terrific combine. He did. He had an okay combine. So I think that's part of it. Is just his purely okay combine means that he might slide a little, but I wouldn't be shocked if somebody took him somewhere day 3. I mean, I think that's not, but more likely he's a day late day 2, maybe. He's on that bubble. Late day 2, could be early day 3. But he's another guy I think is a future NFL starter.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. What do they put more weight on? Do they put more weight on that he had a quality Senior Bowl week? Not overly impressive, but it wasn't bad by any mark. He had a quality Senior Bowl week or an average pro day.
Yeah. Well, he had probably a third. Yeah, and the combine he wasn't great, but he probably was the third or fourth best center when he asked at the Senior Bowl, and he's a future NFL starter. I mean, I think that's everything most people would agree. He may have to, be a swing guy for a little while, backup guard and backup center for maybe a short time, a year, maybe 2 at the most. The guy I'm most fascinated by, and I feel trepidation, excitement, a little bit of fear, is the perhaps future career of Willie Lampkin. Now, obviously, we saw him at Coastal Carolina dominate. Right? Flat out dominated Coastal Carolina. But when you're touring 72 and you're 5'9", 7/8", or 5'10" and 1/8 or whatever, depending on what day you catch him and what way the wind's blowing, there's going to be concerns, right? There's no getting around that. He would be the smallest starting center in modern NFL history. You'd have to go back a really, really, really long way to find somebody even close. I mean, in terms of combination height and weight. Now, I remember when, there were starting centers still in the 250s. I mean, Mike Webster played. Right. Well, Mike Webster played between 252 and 257 most of his career. Yep. Kent Hull was 249 or something when he first entered the league and never got above about 255. Richard, right? Jim Richard?
Yeah.
With the Bills, right? Who was in that early part of that Bills run to the Super Bowls, was entered the league at 241. And I don't think he ever got above about 252. So it wasn't super long ago to me that there were guys playing in the league at center in the Jim Ringo. These guys were all in the 250s, 240s, low 260s at the most. That didn't really change until the end of the 70s.
Yeah.
And then early 80s, you started to see guys get to 270, 280, 290. And then, now most starting centers are in the low 300s and up.
Yeah.
And obviously a guy like Lampkin can't weigh more than probably the mid 280s because of his frame. So now you have to ask yourself, because the height, not that it doesn't matter, it matters, but the height you can kind of talk yourself into. The problem is he cannot weigh 300 pounds. Let me see, cannot. Let me rephrase that. I'm sure if he likes eating, he can weigh 300 pounds, but you don't want him to weigh 300 pounds. Like that's something at that point when you're putting on, especially with a frame of his size, when you're putting on 20 plus pounds, you're going to lose a little something. So he is.
But his pad level is so good. It is. I mean, he's so solid.
And his footwork and his hand, everything. Two-time state wrestling champion. And he's all over the place when you watch him. And I know, because of course my actual best sport was wrestling. I know I always hammer away at Malcolm Rodriguez wrestling exploits and Tristan Wirfs wrestling exploits. And we saw, speaking of centers, we saw what the Ravens got when they got the only loss that Mr. Tristan Wirfs had in his entire high school career was to Linderbaum in the state finals in Iowa, of all places, where, just in case you're wondering, they take wrestling kind of seriously. So
just a little bit.
So when I hear a guy, was a state wrestling champion, particularly multiple state wrestling champions, that gets me here, like my heart pumps a little harder. If there is a guy his size who can make it, he will. Like if it's possible first of all, teams will at least give that guy a chance and not try to turn him into a fullback or something crazy. Please, God. He's just a very small center, and either you talk yourself into it and say we're going to give this guy a shot, or leave him on the board for somebody who will. but don't try to turn him into something else, please. It's an interesting center group. And a lot of the guys who will become centers were guys that played guard or in a few cases even tackle in their collegiate career. And just because of, height and length and whatever limitations are being kicked in, I'll be interested to see who floats to the top, right? And, obviously most people have either a guy like Gray Zabel, if they consider him a center. Some people have him there. I've seen some people put Booker as a center, though he's been a guard. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? Who ends up being center one, or when they announce, I guess, which guy comes off the board first is announced as a center.
Jared Wilson could be that guy.
Right.
There's
a lot of guys it could be, right? That's the fun thing about the center position is that most of the guys who people talk about were guys that played some other position most of the time in their collegiate careers, and they're being projected to center. So we'll see if Monheim or one of the guys who actually was a center in college goes before one of the guys that was not a center in college. Yep. But Zabel was a tackle, right? And he played some guard too, but mostly, he played tackle. And so, due to his height and length, he's being projected inside, and he's been working put a lot of time in the last few months on snapping the ball and getting out after snapping and things like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, indeed. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, with that, guys that are natural centers are going to get pushed down.
Yeah.
Eli Cox, one of those guys, could be pushed down. Clay Webb out of Jackson State, one of those guys could be pushed out of the draft, not just pushed down, but pushed out.
Jacksonville
State, sorry. That's sort of Al Jack, but
Cooper Mays of Tennessee, Drew Kendall of Boston College could be pushed out. I think
Mays gets drafted. I can't say.
I think he gets drafted.
Pushed lower.
Yeah,
it'll cost him some money.
Yeah.
Jacob Gideon, probably a guy that could get pushed out.
Possibly could, yeah.
So it's one of those positions now where it's blurred, right? Guard and center are being blurred together because they're just taking certain guys and making them the other. Are you decent enough snapping the ball? Great, you're a center and a guard now. So and some guys have never played the position. That's the funny part, right? Yep. There's guys that never played it in high school. They never played it in college.
Cooper Beebe. Who never even did a snap at the Senior Bowl last year. He did not do a single center snap even at the Senior Bowl. He goes to Dallas Cowboys, and you're the center, huh? And he did pretty well for a kid who's never been a center before.
He did better than, say, Connor Williams, who's a guy who didn't snap before. Gets to the NFL, and all of a sudden, hey, we're going to make you a guard. Then we're going to see if you can take some reps at center while you're at it. And then he leaves Dallas, goes to Miami. Miami makes him a full-time center. You're a center now. So it happens. And I guess as an offensive lineman now, you have to realize that you could be moved at any time.
Right.
So, whatever keeps you in the league is your position.
Calvin Banks, who has played nothing but left tackle his entire life at the University of Texas, he has been the left tackle. He's now a guard. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but he is going to be a guard in the NFL apparently. Oh, okay. And now he's being moved out of the first round in these mock drafts as well. It's just like, what?
Yeah, well, I don't, like we said, mocks are mocks,
Yep.
They're what people feel, not exactly what the teams feel. And we try to get an idea what the teams are feeling. But, it doesn't mean that's what the way it's going to happen. There may be teams, it is lying season. So there may be teams that are saying, he's a guard. Meanwhile, he's sitting on their board at tackle.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I heard that guard talk before the combine.
Oh, I've been hearing guard talk because, of course, I watch everything to do with the Cowboys. I've been hearing the guard talk since Brugler first mentioned him moving to guard, and this was way back in like November. And it's
Yeah.
ever since then, he's going to be a guard in the NFL. And I'm like, I don't see this. I don't see this. But that's what the talk of the town is.
We'll see. But as hard as it is to find tackles, particularly guys who can play left tackle,
Exactly.
He'd have to first fail at left tackle before I'm just automatically moving a guy. It is puzzling to me because it's just such a challenge to find left tackles. Why aren't we at least seeing if they can play?
Yep. I mean,
they complain, oh, we can't find left tackles. Well, maybe it's because you keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But again, I mean, Tyler Smith is another example of a guy who was a bully at Tulsa, and Jeff and I were on Draft Central going, he's not a left tackle. He is not a left tackle in the NFL. I'm sorry, he's not. You need to move him into a guard. Oh, he's a Pro Bowl guard. Thank you.
Right.
That was an obvious case. But Calvin Banks, he doesn't have those holding penalties and all that crazy stuff that Tyler Smith had.
Yeah, he has really smooth movement. Like like that. Here's the thing that people sometimes forget. They think they tell themselves that playing guard is easier. Not always.
It isn't. It's
not necessarily.
These guys come at you.
Not at that level, it isn't. That's for sure.
They're coming at you that much faster at the guard position than at tackle, and this is the thing that I just don't get.
It is a bigger, stronger body than it was on
exactly.
So yes, I agree. It's not easier at the NFL level. It may be easier at other levels, but it's definitely not easy at the NFL.
It's different, but it's not necessarily easier. And so if movement skills are the thing that make you special, kicking someone inside takes away part of what made them special. Whatever. I give up.
Well, I mean, it really does boggle your mind at these guys who have played left tackle who are suddenly supposed to all be a right guard or a left guard, and you're going, do you not see that movement? Do you not see that step, that first step, right? And we've always talked about that first step being so important for a left tackle or a right tackle, and these guys think that it's going to be that much quicker and easier for them to play the NFL at the guard level. Are you crazy? It boggles my mind.
It is. To quote Yul Brynner from The King and I, it is a puzzlement.
Yep.
So, any Yul Brynner quote always wins me over. What am I? Great actor. See, Bill, we're showing the rings in the tree trunk right there.
We are showing the rings in the tree.
But we're going to move on. We have our first guest has arrived.
We do.
So we're going to move on and get the guests rolling because I think people are tired of seeing our faces alone. So we're going to bring in linebacker OC Brothers from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. OC, welcome to the show.
What's up? How everybody doing tonight?
We're excited because we get to talk to you.
Yes, sir. I'm just as excited.
Indeed. So we're excited to get you on. You know, you've been taking time from your process, so we greatly appreciate it. And we're going to just talk some ball with you for the next 15, 20 minutes and get people to know the prospect that is OC. So I'm going to let my two partners start this off.
Well, I'll start with actual factual. So now that you've been through the pro day experience, I've discovered a lot of people discover themselves that they are taller or shorter, more often shorter than taller, sometimes lighter, sometimes heavier. All kinds of things are discovered sometimes. When you actually were weighed and measured and they put you through all your testing, what did you find out? What did you discover about yourself that you maybe didn't know?
I definitely found out I was shorter than what I thought I was.
There it is. Yep. What was the official height and weight they posted for you?
6 foot.
And what weight?
233.
Okay, so about the weight you were expecting, but a little shorter in terms of height.
Definitely.
How did the rest of your pro day play out in terms of your testing and things like that?
The rest of the pro day, I felt like I really had a good showing. You know, I felt like I prepared well. I really dedicated myself to my craft. It was just I felt like it was easy. I felt comfortable out there.
Did you have any particular goals that you set for yourself in terms of your performance? And if so, did you reach them?
I wouldn't say necessarily goals. I just wanted to make sure, like when I left, that when I did leave, I felt like satisfied with what I did.
Okay. And you're saying yes, you were satisfied.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I obviously felt like it's like things anybody would think they can do better, and I also felt like things I also felt like I could do better, but I definitely feel like I left it all out there.
Okay. Which teams were there, and did any of them approach you?
It was somewhere between, I believe, like 23 to 26 teams there, so we had a pretty good showing. I didn't necessarily get like feedback right then and there, but it was coaches like talking.
Gotcha. Greg, got anything for him?
Sure. So OC, you started out at Auburn,
Right.
and then switched to Purdue. Are you hearing us okay?
Oh, looks like you lost an earbud, I think.
Oh,
He's putting them back in.
there. Are you okay, OC?
Can you hear us?
We can't hear you. So I don't know if you can hear us.
It's not muted on our end. So I would just, if you click the little microphone, just make sure that your microphone is not muted and check your sound settings.
Yeah.
It may be the earpiece that's giving you issues.
Might be. Because we are not hearing you, OC. So if you can just check. Yeah, he's definitely not muted on our end. So yeah, just check your sound settings.
If it's giving you an issue, you may want to go without the earpiece.
Yeah.
Hello?
Click. There you
There
are.
we go.
Okay, we're back again. I'm sorry.
All right, there we are.
Live
so-
TV, folks. These things
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. Hey, it happens. It happens to even the professionals. So don't you worry about that, OC. So you started out with going to Auburn, and then you transferred up to Purdue.
Yes, sir.
What was the better experience for you? Was it the SEC or was it the Big Ten?
Me personally, I'd say the Big Ten, because I feel like that's where I really got my feet wet, and I was able to really go out there and showcase what I could do. But Auburn definitely prepared me for that. Just being there, being among the great athletes. My freshman year, it was names like Derrick Brown, Jamie and Sherwood. We had a lot of great players on the team that year. So it was
Right.
good to just, come in as a young pup, just, and just learn and soak all the information in.
Well, it's definitely been a little bit of a path for you in the college career, right?
Definitely, it's been a journey.
So this year, what was your best game this year, and what was your toughest game this year?
I definitely say my best game this year was probably when we played Navy. They traditionally run triple option, so that's a linebacker's dream. And I pretty much had one assignment, just get downhill now. And I feel like that's one of the traits I bring best to my game. So I definitely feel like I had a good showing that game. I got defensive player of the game that game. My worst game, I would probably, not worst, but I'd probably say kind of slouch, I would say, would be probably, I'll probably say ULM.
Right.
I haven't really had to defend the stretch, and they run the stretch 80% of the time. And, the linebackers and the D-line just have to be on the same accord, So I feel like that was pretty tough. That was a pretty tough assignment for us defensively.
Yeah, because you really do enjoy coming downhill at teams, don't you?
I love it.
Yeah. That was the first thing I noticed on the film is, oh yeah, this guy likes to come at the running backs, and you love hitting people, and it's quite a few tackles for losses.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
which is always a good thing,
Sir.
Who was the toughest quarterback that you played against?
Throughout my whole college career, I'll probably say JJ McCarthy from Michigan. He was real versatile. He can roll out the pocket. He make throws on the run. He can extend plays with his legs. And great accuracy, great quarterback.
That's going to make Joe Cardozo a happy camper hearing that guy from that school up north. See, can you tell I'm not a fan of that school?
I definitely tell.
But yeah, Joe Cardozo, the owner of Team MBS Media, he's a huge Go Blue guy, right? So yeah, it's he'll be a happy man to hear the JJ McCarthy. Go ahead, Bill.
So I'm going to ask you to put your scouting cap on. You have a couple of teammates. Well, you've had several teammates who are good football players. You've played, as mentioned, a few different places. But I'm going to start at UAB and work backwards. While I was watching UAB tape, I noticed, obviously you, but also a couple of your teammates. Michael Moore was a guy that showed up pretty well on tape. And then I really was intrigued by Desmond Little. Give me a little thumbnail scouting report on your teammates, Michael Moore and Desmond Little.
Desmond Little, very versatile, very fast. He can run the coverage. He can get to the quarterback at will. He has a good double scissor move, great get off, great team player, great locker room guy. Michael Moore, I would say, long and lanky, so that allows him to be in position to make a lot more plays that the regular size linebacker, like traditional, like 6'1" linebacker wouldn't make. I think Mike's like 6'4".
Yep.
Very, very fast. He has a background at playing DN and also playing safety. So I feel like that definitely allows him to bring versatility all over the field.
Yeah, I'm going to mention a couple of names that popped in my head while I looked at Michael Moore, and I'm going to once again show the rings on the tree. I was thinking almost like a poor man's Bobby Bell, which Hall of Famer, probably a player you're unfamiliar with. And then Matt Blair, who's not a Hall of Famer, but Hall of Very Good. And I think Blair still holds the record for total kick blocks in a career.
Yep.
And they were similar guys, right? Lean, lanky, long, tiny little waist, long arms, long legs, broad shoulders. But I'm really intrigued by him. I don't know why people don't talk about those two players more than they do. I think those are both players that people are kind of sleeping on. And now I'm going to walk you back to Purdue, and then we'll walk you back to Auburn. Who's a person you played with at Auburn you think was really underrated that people, should know more about?
I wouldn't really say he's underrated because he's still got a chance to leak and he's still, on the roster. I'll probably say Jaelyn Graham, linebacker. He's like a one-on-one freak. Like he's just one of them guys. Like football is what he does. He makes plays. He's athletic. He affects the run, the pass rush, the pass and coverage. He can do it all.
Okay. And then we'll go back to the beginning. So going all the way back to your days at Auburn, give me a player that was, at least on the roster then, and I don't know if you still keep up with Auburn still, but at least on the roster then that you think people should have known more about, even if he's, not even at Auburn anymore, but a player that jumped out at you when you were there and he's like, I can't believe people don't talk about this guy more.
Jeremiah Benson, safety, former safety. I believe he coaches right down the road from where I am at UCF now. Jeremiah was a great leader. I feel like he was like the bond that like kept the defense together. He was the voice. Like every time he spoke, people listened. And like when he was on the field, he was a playmaker. He made plays every single game. I seen him show up in the biggest games at the biggest moments every time.
Yeah.
Right. People are familiar with the fact that different teams on offense run different sets, different formations, have different nomenclature. I think people are less aware that there's different defenses or even the same defenses are called differently, right? Even the same position may be called something different as you move from one defensive system to the next. So walk me through the positions you've played, even if they were quote unquote the same position, what they were actually called, and then what your responsibilities were in those defenses in which you played from Auburn to Purdue to UAB.
At Auburn, we really ran 4-2-5. We didn't really get into a 4-3, so there really wasn't a sound. We just had to start. We like to call it the MAC and the money. The MAC would symbolize the might, and the money is the will linebacker. And at Purdue and UAB, Mike, will, and sound. because in the Big Ten and the American Conference, you know, some of them teams you got to have to defend the run, especially play teams like Army, Navy, and teams of that sort. You know, I've had the opportunity to play all three different positions. You know, I've had a chance to come down, get tackles, set the edge, drop back in coverage, open number twos, but also play in the boundary against tight ends, number two slot receivers in the boundary, and play right in the middle over the center guard tackle.
Yeah.
What was your favorite of all the things that you've been asked to do?
To be honest, I like all of them, but I feel like probably the Sam, because I feel like the Sam and all the defense I have that I have been in allows you to be more versatile. You know, like I said, you rushing the tackle, you setting the edge on the tackle, you covering number two receivers, tight ends, whatever. I feel like it just shows a lot of versatility.
Excellent. I literally just wrote an article not too long ago about the Sam linebacker and sort of decrying the you know, sort of the death. You know, I was slightly exaggerating. There's still Sam linebackers, but it used to be, you know, I mean, one of the most important positions in football. Like, look at all the great teams of the 70s. All of them had a standout Sam linebacker. But yeah, I won't belabor that point too much. So last but not least, at least I'll ask at this point. Film study. You know, you've been studying film for a while. In high school, you got something out of it, but clearly you're getting way more out of it as you step up and up and up. I want you to pick out a play that you made somewhere in your career that was a film study play, a play that you couldn't have made, right? Just going off talent, right? You had to know a tendency or a formation or something you'd seen on tape led you to this play.
So I'm going to go back to 2023 and play Virginia Tech. Throughout all the film study, I noticed, and I shared it with my team, that I believe it was their left tackle. The left tackle, every time it was in 2-point stance, it was pass. Every time it was 3-point stance, it was run. And play after play, I believe you played them the second game of the season that year. So even dating back to the last few 2022 games and the first 2023 game, that was the tendency he had. And then it was also the splits of the guards. You know, they like to run stretch every now and then. So every time the guard, you know, they would align in a regular split. Then right before the quarterback gets in the cadence, he would step out a little more. And luckily, I believe it was like the second, third play of the game. And then we called that blitz a couple times that game. It was a pretty much Mike blitz and shot the gap, got a couple TFLs that game.
Yeah.
How does that call come in the system you guys ran? What do you, I mean, do they have a name for that particular blitz?
Yes. It was just called Miami for Mike.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Jeff.
All right. So, unfortunately, when UAB came down here to Tampa, I missed you. You didn't play that game. So I was looking forward to getting a live look at you. Nothing like seeing people in person. You get to get a good feel for them, size, height, weight, all the tendencies, all the good stuff. So I kind of got robbed of that experience. So I'm gonna make sure I take that up with Coach Dilfer when I see him next time. But nevertheless, so walk me through your reads pre-snap. You come into the line. Of course, 90% of the teams you faced were spread, so everybody's in the gun. What is your first set of keys that you're looking for when they break the huddle?
Really, my first set of keys is depends on honestly the position I'm playing. I could be the Sam, the Mike, or the Will. But traditionally for a linebacker, my keys will be the depth of the running back. Because the depth of the running back is going to tell you a lot. If he's in front of the quarterback, he can either come out the pass block, release. If it's even, he can jet out, run a flare right now, come across for stretch zone, or he can be deep for inside zone, or he can be pistol, for play action boot. Then after that, also, where's the tight end? Because the tight end is going to tell you the story, and is the tight end on or off the ball? Because if he's off the ball pre-snap, majority of the time the tight end is going to motion. He's going to motion, and that's the biggest thing that I work on is like 2x2 to 3x1, because obviously there's going to be different checks regarding both of those things. So those are two main keys. Then obviously I read on the lineman. Are any of the guards like his tackle's chest up, is his chest down, to symbolize running pass.
All right. So let's say you're at the Sam. They run out. They run weak. They run away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what your eyes are doing on that play.
First, my eyes are going to be on the tackle. First of all, got to be on the tackle because you never know if he's going to come back, kick out, block you. And majority of the time at the Sam, you're still responsible for backside. The quarterback pulls it, quarterback read, and everything like that. So then once I confirm that the quarterback has given the ball, then that's why I can fold over top, but still maintain my leverage so he's not able to cut back across.
All right. I'm looking at your production, and you have some big time production spikes. And I expected it versus Navy. I mean, Navy is the low hanging fruit for linebackers. You better produce versus Navy, right? But overall, you had Army was another one. You had but Tulane. Now Tulane's a pretty balanced offense. You still managed to rack up 8 tackles. What about Tulane's offense that day allowed you to find the football well?
I feel like with Tulane's offense, they kind of get on the ball fast. So obviously that game, we played a lot more plays that game. And I felt like I had a great week of preparation. I had a great week of practice. I watched a lot of film on them, running backs tendencies, O-line's tendencies, like I just previously mentioned. And I just felt good going into the game. I felt my body was feeling good. My mind was feeling good. I just played.
All right. When you're talking about moving up to the next level, everybody's playing sub-package football, which is very similar to what you did in college. Everybody's running the 4-2s and 3-3s, you know. But the roles aren't as defined, right? So any play, you could be the Mike, you could be the Will. Very few people use a Sam anymore.
Mm-hmm.
How comfortable are you going to be now as either the chase backer or the lead backer? Because the Mike 10-1 is going to be the main guy coming downhill first.
Honestly, I feel like I'm comfortable wherever. And I've shown that, I came into college playing Mike at Auburn. So then when I went to Purdue, I got moved to the Will for my first 2 years. Then in 2023, when we got our new staff, I went back to the Mike because we ran a 5-1-5. And then at UAB, I was like on Tulane. I was asked to go from Sam to Mike to Will, like any given play. So I had to make sure I knew what I was doing. So I studied film a lot, studied playbook a lot, just to make sure, because you never know. You honestly never know. Lead man can go down, and I'm at Mike, and I have to go play Will now. And then the second Mike has to come up.
The NFL level is the king of matchup football now.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you are, they're going to find you if they feel you have a weakness. What weakness do you think an NFL team is going to try to attack when it comes to you?
Honestly, I feel like they might try to try me in the pass game just because I haven't really gotten too much of that on film. But I feel like I affect the pass game really well. I have 13 PBUs. I get in the passing lanes. I can run. I can run with the tight ends, the running backs. But I definitely feel like that's one thing because definitely like when you see film, like the run isn't really going to be like I love the run. So like I feel like you're going to run the ball. You're playing into something I love.
All right. You're in that Tampa 2. You have that deep middle responsibility. Walk me through how you identify that vertical route that's attacking the middle and how you close on it.
Are we talking 2x2 or 3x1?
Let's start with 2x2 and we'll move to 3x1. We'll move the bunch. We'll make it real interesting with bunch.
Okay. Usually with 2x2, where's the speed? Because we actually had a Tampa 2 call. So where's speed? You have to identify speed because obviously that's where the vertical threat is. So the first thing I would do is check my alignment as compared to him. Am I too wide to be able to cover him and run with him if he is the one running the vertical? What's my depth? Am I showing blitz first? Do I have to get out early? So then my read pretty much throughout that whole process, like posting out, is I'm running, I'm peeking, I'm running and I'm peeking, I'm running and I'm peeking, and I'm watching him. And I'm reading the quarterback because obviously the quarterback doesn't have to throw him the ball. And if I'm the middle responsibility, there could be 2 scenes. So I have to be responsible for both.
All right. So now you're looking at bunch. You still got to get vertical. You still got to find that middle, that threat to your middle. How do you identify it out of a bunch?
Out of bunch, usually it's going to be the point man because the man on the inside isn't really going to run a vertical route. And out of a bunch, they like to run. I haven't really seen too many vertical concepts run out of bunch unless you play Madden, but usually it's spot, sit routes, spot, space, and sit routes. Pretty much come out the bunch.
Right. Yeah.
So like to attack that post snap, I would be more cautious as to getting out there right now because I want to get out there right now. Then there's a middle hole shot right there. So you kind of got to be able to tempo the receiver as well as the quarterback.
Yeah, I'm as an OC, I'm guilty of doing it. So I know, you're gonna get it. You got to be prepared. They'll do it. So I'm going to toss it back to these guys, and I may finish up with one more. You guys got any final questions for OC?
So one of the things that is different about playing different spots as a linebacker is that you may be asked to be what the NFL calls the green dot guy, right? Making the actual calls. Tell me about your experience in communicating to your guys and getting them ready. What are the things that you have to do if you're the one that is getting them aligned, getting them ready? What does that mean for you, and how do you prepare for it?
I've actually had to do that the past couple of seasons, and coming from playing a will to where the mic is saying all the calls, then being the mic to make sure everybody gets the calls is a completely different game. But the main thing you have to be is loud. You have to be loud because in the game, temperatures are rising, emotions are going up, crowds getting into it. So I feel like the first thing you have to do is be loud. And the first thing you have to do is take care of them boys in front of you. That's the very first thing you have to do is take care of the boys in front of you. They out there wrestling. That's 600 pounds going at.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then also,
That's all right. And continue.
And then also, you got to communicate with the DBs. It could be a certain coverage you're running. It could be a certain check. Like I said, the 2x2, 3x1. So you got to make sure everybody's also running the same coverage on the back end.
Excellent. And I want to sort of conclude with, there's a game that you've played that you think exemplifies, best shows who OC Brothers is as a football player. When an NFL scout says, where should I start when I'm breaking you down? Where I'm studying you on tape? Which game do you tell them and why?
Illinois 2022. I'll definitely say that game. We played in freezing cold weather. I'm from Florida. I never played in the cold before. We're fighting for the hunt to get back into the hunt for the Big Ten West Championship. So if we lose this game, it's over with. It's 11 o'clock kickoff. That team was loaded. They had, I believe, Luke Altmaier, Chase Brown at the time.
Yep.
They had, and that was one of Chase Brown's really good years. And he was that whole year he was electric. So that was a matchup I was really looking forward to. I definitely felt like I showed up and I definitely won.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, that was a good offense, as you pointed out. Chase Brown was one of my favorite running backs to study on tape. When you broke him down on tape, what did you see when you looked at Chase Brown? And of course, did tape do him justice when you saw him in person?
No, tape did not do him justice. First thing I thought was home run hitter. We could not let him break out. I believe we were his lowest rushing game that whole year. And I was really keen on making sure he doesn't get going, because no matter who they played before us that year and after us that season, once he gets going, he's a problem. So my goal was to get downhill and just try to shut him down.
Okay, excellent. When you think about the best players you've ever played against, where is he falling on your list of the best players you ever lined up against in your college career?
Chase. Honestly, I've played against a lot of great players. I can't even think off the top of my head. But if I were to do running backs, he definitely would be a top 3 running back.
Okay, who are the other 2 of your top 3?
I would say Najee Harris. When I was at Auburn, he was crazy. Najee Harris, and I'll say Kenneth Walker in 2021 when he had that Heisman season when he was going crazy.
Yeah.
We played him and like we upset them at the time. I believe they were the number 3 team in the country, and I made a couple players on TFL, like a key third down PBU, but he still ran for over 100 yards. But it was like we still won. But it's just really hard contending like backs like that. But you just got to do your best, man. You just got to pin your ears back, get downhill, and play.
Yeah, I remember. I saw the first game after he transferred from Wake Forest. First game. I live in Chicago. I went up to Evanston to watch him versus Northwestern, and Northwestern had no answer for Mr. Kenneth Walker III. He had a very, very fine day at the office versus the Purple Wildcats. Yeah, he was truly special. So you got to line up against both Chase Brown and Kenneth Walker III. But as you said, Najee Harris, I can see why he would be also make the list. That's a solid list.
Yeah, he went crazy on this in Iron Bowl. He went nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Greg, you have any final questions for him?
Well, like I ask every guest, what's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal, I'm kind of classic. I ain't gonna lie, I just like hot wings. Hot wings, like that's like a food I can pretty much eat.
He's the first man to say hot wings. I love it. Everybody else, steak and potato. Yeah, no, come on now. Hot wings. He's a good man. He's a good man. Growing up in Florida, were you a Dolphins or a Buccaneers fan, or?
I'd probably say more the Buccaneers just because my grandma like she's really into sports, like the Bucs and Tom. She loves Tom Brady. She didn't like the Patriots, but she loves Tom Brady. So when Tom Brady came to the Buccaneers, she went nuts. Like she was going crazy.
And it's your grandma.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
So I'll ask one last question. So what is your degree actually in, OC?
Sociology.
Ah, excellent. What do you want to do with that when the time comes to hang up your cleats? What do you want to do with your degree?
Honestly, I feel like the community I come from has always been kind of rough. So I feel like being in that position, I can help kids in need, go to different group homes, and, just be an example. You can come from a bad surrounding, but you don't have to let that dictate how you're going to live your life.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited for your next phase of your life, which is professional football. And then I'm very excited to see what you do beyond that, because I can tell that you care about giving back to your community.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So draft weekend, is it going to be Wingstop and you're going to just wait around and see, or what's the plan?
I actually was talking to my dad about that. We think about getting like an Airbnb for the family. It'll be good just for the family to get together, break bread. But definitely wings, so definitely gonna have some.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I don't have any more questions, and I know these guys are done. So we're gonna let you get the rest of your night going. Are you back here in Titusville, by the way?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you're down the road. I'm outside of Tampa, so I'm not that far away. So yeah, I'm the closest of the three. Greg's the furthest. Greg's in the cold right now. So
I'm all the way up here in Canada, where we actually still have Sam linebackers in the CFL.
I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you that way.
Oh, you don't want to come up here when it's -12 in October?
I'll play anywhere.
All right. See, there you go. Okay. There you go.
Okay.
See, I got signed by such and such. The excitement kicks in, and then you realize it gets cold. Then you go, "Ooh, it's gonna be cold. I got to gird myself up for that." But not like saying, "Yes, I'm going to the NFL. Where are you gonna be? Green Bay." Oh.
That's like a really big reason, actually, on why I'm happy. I played at Purdue. Just being able to play in them cold games, playing at Nebraska, Wisconsin. I'm definitely happy I got to experience it.
Yeah, that Midwest cold is a whole nother animal. I'm originally from New York, so I played in snow games and cold, rainy days and all that stuff. And yeah, you had fun while you're doing it until you couldn't feel your feet and hands. That was always the part. It was like, yeah, playoff football was always prepare for the cold. But
Yeah, definitely.
listen, we're gonna be excited for you. We enjoy the process. Not everybody gets to do it, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, we tell everybody that comes on, you get the name called, you get the call after. We're here after the draft, so you can come on during. If they get your name called. If you get called after, you can come on the show afterwards, or we're recapping everything and gloat about I'm going to be at such and such camp and watch me work.
Yep.
Okay, yes, sir. Sound like a plan.
Absolutely.
All right. This is OC Brothers, linebacker, University of Alabama, Birmingham. OC, best of luck to you. We'll be pulling for you. Go get some wings on it's on Bill. It's on Bill. So get some wings on Bill.
Now that's very different because usually he's attacking the old guy here to sit. What?
Well, they don't take Canadian dollars down here, so I can't.
Oh.
Thanks for stopping by, OC.
All right,
Yes, good luck to you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
You
All right,
too.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to go to a quick commercial. We'll be back with more Team BS Draft Central right after this.
Streetwear is not dead. The next wave of black fashion comes out of the Bronx, New York. Rich Kid Clothing, picking up where FUBU, Rockaware, and Kyle Kanai left off. Rich Kid is for the next generation of Get Fly fashion heads. Use promo code MELLOW23 for 15% off your next order. And for orders over $100, there is free shipping. Again, use promo code MELLOW23 for 15% off your next order.
Draft Central is looking for an official sponsor. As the official sponsor of Draft Central, you get product placement in every episode, commercial advertising, and your logo on all Draft Central merch. Contact us at info@TeamMBS Media for more information.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build a cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder.
We are back here on Team BS Draft Central. Jeff Barnes, Greg Rector, Bill Carroll. Just a reminder, 2 weeks away from the NFL Draft, we are here live all 3 days. You'll get to see our smiling faces. Our host night one will be Ashmi and Prasad, and we'll be closing out day 2 and day 3. A lot of guests coming through. Like I said, wall-to-wall coverage analysis of the NFL Draft. Everything you're hearing here and more, you're going to hear for those 3 days. So make sure you're tuning for that. If you have to have the big guys on, put them on the TV, have us on in the background. You're going to hear a lot of information coming your way. So while we're waiting on our next guest, we're going to keep we'll keep talking some prospects here. That's what we're in the business of doing. We're talking D3 gems. All right. So we left off, we were talking centers. Let's slide to the other interior position, the guards.
And as you just mentioned, there's some bleed, some spillover between the two. But there's several guys who I believe are going to have long successful careers as some type of interior offensive lineman. And to be determined, I guess, is which ones they end up playing. And what I really believe is going to happen, certain teams are realizing slowly but surely just how important the guard position is, right? As we transition to more and more quarterbacks who are not 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", or even 6'2", the ability to make sure that the passing lanes are available to shorter quarterbacks when they are in the pocket is largely contingent upon your center and guard cup, right? That guard center guard combination. And I remember seeing the first team I saw really prioritize that a few years back was the Saints, right? When they had Drew Brees, who, was generously listed, I think, at 6 feet and 1/8, and, was a guy that really knew how to navigate the pocket, but made most of his plays from inside. He could move a bit, but he made most of his plays from inside the pocket, and was, not super tall. And they always prioritized that center guard, that guard center guard combination, and they were always good. At least during the Breeze era, they're always good at those positions. They drafted Ben Grubbs, and later they got guys like Cesar Ruiz, but they prioritized getting guys' hands down, right? So they taught all those classic techniques of, I won't say punching someone in the stomach. What's the term I want to use? What's the way to put this that doesn't make it sound dirty? Putting pressure on the abdomen of the opponent in such a way that they would get their hands down or their arms down to try to protect their soft underbelly, was something they tended to teach technique-wise with that team. And so it made sure that Breeze didn't have, and I don't think he ever led the league in batted balls. Despite that they threw the ball a lot, I'm almost certain he never did. Now, ironically, one year while Breeze was in the league, of all people, what's his name? Played with Denver and he was like 6'7", from Arizona State. Super tall, but had a lot of balls batted down. He's a broadcaster already.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Really good high school volleyball guy also, if that helps. Signed a big
Denver quarterback, right?
With the Texans also, signed a big free agent deal.
Yeah.
God, what was his name?
I can picture him. I can really picture him. I
remember.
Yes, Brock Osweiler. Thank you. So
Yeah.
one year, Brock Osweiler, with all that height, 6'7" 3/8" or whatever, led the NFL in batted ball. So, it's not always short quarterbacks that get balls batted down, but
yeah, he had a low release point.
And it wasn't the best at navigating the pocket, but that's a whole other discussion. This particular draft is going to have a bunch of good guards taken day 3. And that's true every year. It's not much of a prediction. I'm not being very bold when I say that. I think starting in the 4th round, we're going to see a bunch of really good guards. And we'll see a few before that, right? I mean, there'll be a sprinkling of guards early. We talked about some of those guys already, but once you get past that sprinkling, that 3, 4, maybe 5 guards that go somewhere in the first 2 rounds, I think that's probably the most we'll see. Is maybe 5 in the first 2 rounds, and then once you get past that bunch, you're going to look at the run is day 3, right? Certain positions, the run will be day 3. Safety, sadly, the run will probably be day 3. There'll be a sprinkling early. And we talked about the linebacker group, right? And then running backs, right? Those positions, those less sexy positions. So once guys like Fairchild, Booker, my number 1 is Ratledge, but Frazier, maybe, Jackson Slater. Some people think Lampkin moves to guard, but I don't see that. I don't know.
He might. I think he might because of the size. Because
maybe.
I think that you may. I know that. Remember, for a while they tried it with Peters before they let him play tackle. So I think that he might get that same treatment until he proves that he can play tackle. He may get work at guard. I just think the big body guys, they have a hard time at keeping outside.
Right. Well, Lampkin's not a big body; he's a little body. That's the other thing that worries me. Yeah, like he's too small. If he's too small for center, how is he going to play guard? But
yes, I'm thinking of not Lampkin. See, now I'm mixing up names. This is
right. I mean, he's a guy who's going to struggle to get to 280 pounds. He's going to probably fight to get to 277. But Tyler Cooper, right? That's a guy who's going to go somewhere probably in the 4th or 5th round. Your friend Clay Webb, right? Might end up playing guard, as you mentioned earlier. Addison West, right? Which sounds like a soap opera actor, right? But he's not. He's a really good football player, though.
Yeah, I was thinking of Belton is who I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's probably a right tackle. But, yeah, I could see him being moved. But I like him at right tackle.
He is the biggest tackle in this class.
I mean, when you see him in person, once again, it's about film not doing justice. When you see him in person, sweet baby Jesus. He and Hollis Pierce. If you got those two guys, those are guys. One of those two guys is getting off the bus first.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's going to be whenever you wish to get off the bus first is the time that he's going to go. I'm not going to say a word. You just go when you're ready.
Right. Well, I see we've got our guest back on with us. Do you want to jump on to Jaelyn?
Yes, we're going to do that right now. I was actually queuing up a video for him, but we'll do it without the video. Then we'll play his video while he's talking. But do the right intro for him for sure. We're going to have Jaelyn on before. Jaelyn is actually with us this time, so we're going to talk to him right now. We're talking to UMass tight end Jaelyn Lay. Jaelyn, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And see, and just like in person, I'm looking up at you. All right, so yes. So when I saw Jaelyn at the Tropical Bowl weekend, and said, "Got to get this big guy on the show." There are very few massive tight ends that you see running and doing the things that Jaelyn does. So I said he's a guy that definitely deserves to come on here and say his piece. Jaelyn, so. Well, I've gotten to talk to you already. I'm going to talk to you last, and I'm going to let the guys that haven't had a chance to talk to you have some of the fun. So, Bill, Greg, fire away.
Well, one of the things I always do is I try to find out who got surprised by what at their pro day. Very often, guys find out for the first time in their lives that they are shorter or taller, more often shorter than taller, heavier or lighter. Slower or faster, all these things you find out about yourself. So what thing happened at your pro day that maybe was surprising to you? Did you find out that you were taller, shorter, heavier, faster, slower? What did you find out?
Really, the height. They listed me like 6'5", something like 6'5", 6". But like everywhere else, I get listed at like 6'6", and then like also I got my hand measured not too long. The National Scouting Combine, they measured it. It was like right on like 10 and like 10, but the pro day they measured like 9, and like it was very off. So those were really surprised. Those my surprising ones.
Okay. Oh, and how many teams or what teams were there, and did any of them want to speak to you?
I think it was probably like around 7. I think 7 teams, but I feel like our pro day was pretty rushed. It's like, it was pretty rushed because also we didn't have a quarterback. So one of the scouts was playing quarterback. Well, actually, two of them. One of them was actually pretty good, but then the other one he was like throwing real bad. But it was pretty rushed because. Yeah, well, I don't know what the reason was, but it was kind of rushed with everything. So that's how basically the summer pro day.
Okay. And other than the fact that you had 2 different quote unquote quarterbacks, one of whom was a scout who maybe had played some quarterback, then was a scout who had maybe not played some quarterback based on what I'm hearing. And I can't, do an effective scouting, sadly, because I didn't get a chance to see it myself. What other things did you get to do fully? Like, did you get to test fully, do all the things you wanted to do?
Yes. I was like you said, we was able to do everything. It was just like the on the field stuff that I really like mainly wanted to show. We didn't like we ran a couple routes. It was probably like I think it was like 6 routes we ran, and then that was it. But I think I still did good. Like with that portion as well because I pretty much caught everything, even like the bad balls that were thrown. I was able to catch those as well. So I think that was a pretty good moment though.
Okay. I first, became interested in you back in your days at Alabama State. You have spent some time there, and then you spent time at Clemson. You've spent time various places. You came in at 271. Was that the weight you wanted to be when you came to your pro day?
No, it actually wasn't. Like I literally the night before I was like, because I always dealt with like weight fluctuation. So like one, I could be like 265, and then literally like an hour later I could be 270, and then like it just like goes up and down like all around. So like I can be one weight and look the same at another weight. That's kind of weird, but I always dealt with that like really since going to college. But yeah.
So what was the weight you wanted to be?
I was fine with 265. Just being at 265 or lighter, but ate a few strawberries in the morning before pro day. So like, and that 20-minute drive, that's what did it. So
Okay. Arm length, right? 34 inches. That's good. You are a big-bodied individual. Despite your arm length, you managed to knock out 19 bench reps. Some of the other things, maybe you could tell me if they were what you were expecting, more or less. 27-inch vertical, 9 feet 9 inches in the broad, 499 in the 40, and you did the short shuttle in 485 and the 3-cone in 766. Were those about the numbers you were expecting, or better or worse?
with the 40, I thought it was like on the field, I thought it was like what it was better. But then once it came out, it was like because literally like the whole pro day group chat, everybody had questions about their 40 times. So this was like everybody was trying to figure out like how that's not the same thing that was said on the field, which a lot of other times and stuff. So, but I know for me personally, like running my first 40, I had tweaked my hamstring. So I tweaked my hamstring, and then because I was like in the middle of the pack of players going, so I tried to like stretch, and then went did my second 40, and then that's when like I basically like made it worse with the hamstring. But I went to see the trainers, and then I had like we did a strength test. I had all the strength. It was like real sore,
Right.
and um but I feel like I should have not did like the other stuff because after we did after the 40, that's when we did like um the L drill and stuff. I was able to move like I said because I still had strength, but I think it would have been better if like it wasn't hurting. But I was just trying to push through, and then like I said, after that we ran routes. I still ran routes real good. Like a lot of the spectators like that was there, they were saying like, "Oh yeah, he runs some real good routes." So um, I just try to really just push through.
And I promise, last question, at least for this segment, this portion of the segment. you said that there was a group chat to talk about it. What time did you think, or were you originally quoted that was, I'm assuming, faster than the one that was originally assigned, that finally was assigned to you?
Oh no, I was so in train. I was just going off a bit, basically in training. Because I in training I was running 4.8s, 4.8s, and then like the fastest I ran was 4.7. But then like you said, once pro day, nobody didn't hear they 40 times. Probably only one person,
Hmm.
but yeah, like most of everybody didn't hear they 40 times, and then once it was sent in the group chat the next day, then that's when everybody was like, hold on, what? Because like yeah, it was really up and down. So
Huh. What, were you given any explanations for why it was the times were? So it wasn't just you. It sounds like everybody's
no,
time.
literally the whole group chat was like saying like, because I think it was some people, they were saying like they heard one thing on the field, but then on the paper it was something totally different. So like it's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, this is your first time. I'm assuming it's your first time attending a pro day.
Yes, well, like that I was involved in participating in.
But
Yes,
you've been at other people's pro days.
yes, like at the Clemson when I was there, I was at all the pro days when I was there. So
Yeah. So you may have already gathered this. Sometimes it's almost like the Olympics, right? They throw out the slowest and the fastest and go with the average of whatever's left. Sometimes it's just the oldest scout there. I'm not even joking. Like the guy who's got the most sort of gravitas or whatever. It's not like the combine. There's no official time. They just sort of sometimes scouts will put their heads together and say, "What do you have? What do you have?" That kind of thing. So you can get multiple times. It is not like the combine. There's not a single official time agreed upon. So that can happen. So, but yeah, I'll stop asking questions, at least for the moment, and let everyone else jump in.
Go ahead, Greg.
Jaelyn, Mr. Washington, who plays up in Pittsburgh, kind of reminds me a little bit of you. He didn't get a whole lot of pass catches in college either. Do you see any similarities between yourselves?
Similar. Me and Darnell, we pretty cool with each other because we always talked during college. Like when he was at Georgia, I was at
Yeah.
Clemson and everything. So, and then me being from Georgia, so we always like talked here and there, and we still talk here and there. Similarities, I say yes, just like we can help in the run game. Like we both good blockers. So,
Yeah.
because like I said, the teams I've been on, we didn't use the tight end really. Even like from me and the other tight end, us 1 and 2, like we was rarely used in the offense on every season I've been in. But I think for me, just I say similarities is like in the run game, but I feel like for me, with having a receiver background,
Right.
um, oh, okay, they just changed. But having a receiver background, like I run pretty good routes, especially for my size, and a lot of people don't really expect that. For like I said, what you see on paper is different, like what you see on a field, because like I said, I move pretty good to be my size. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know, being from, going to Clemson and then come up to UMass, they don't really use the tight end, right?
mhm.
Um, and of course, you got people who are saying, "Well, this guy hasn't done anything. How is he going to compete in the NFL?" And well, no, this kid was a receiver, uh, and he does understand how to run routes. But again, how do you get teams to understand that part of your ability?
Well, I'm blessed to have the Falcons local pro day, local workout this Friday. So really excited for that, just so that way, like I said, and then I know it's going to be quarterbacks out there as well, so
Yeah.
that they can actually see me run routes because from what I've heard from people in the past, and then also like how other local workouts have been going, especially with tight ends, they just really more so route running focused, and I feel like that's even though I didn't have the opportunities to show that in college, but in front of coaches, I feel like I can, like especially like just like being at the Tropical Bowl, I didn't know the coaches, they didn't know me, but when I started running routes and everything, like they wanted me to run everything, like they was asking me to do everything out there. So I feel like just being in front of the coaches and letting them actually see how I move and everything, I think that will just that will that'll make them more interested in me as a player.
Yeah. Oh, indeed. Because I mean, I knew you were a receiver in high school, right?
Mhm.
So, um, obviously, you understand how to run a route. And
Definitely.
again, because they didn't see it though on tape in college, they're going, "Huh? Well, what is this kid?" Right?
Yes.
You know. So again, you're going to the Atlanta Day.
Yes. This Friday.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be a big opportunity for you.
Yes, it definitely is. Just since, like I say, I'm from Georgia, and then
Yeah.
also like just during this whole process, not being able to not really talk to any teams during this process. So just to be able to just go out there and show what I can do, that's a blessing for me.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. Go ahead, Mr. Jeff.
All right. So we get to the fun stuff. You ready for the fun
Huh?
stuff? All right. So I'm gonna throw something out here. All right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So offensive guys get all the fun. I'm sorry. You know, there's
Cool.
only so much you can do with the defense. All right. So what we got here is we go bunch gun right. We do bunch under center and the gun. So I'm one of those OCs that I'm particular. I just don't do it one way. I'm not just a spread guy. I've run spread. I've run West Coast. I've run Air Correia. So all of those merge into my offense. So bunch gun right. We're going to go scissors, XY, search with H swing, queen. All right. So what we have here is scissors are the F and the Z. They got deep crossers. Right, they're switching up on the post in the corner. You to Y have an option, right? So you're going to base your route off the coverage you're seeing. Same thing with X. He has an option to the backside, and H has a swing. All right.
Yes.
So that's going to be bunch right, gun, scissors, X Y search, H swing. I'm crossing myself up here.
Yeah.
Right? So Tropical Bowl. I got to see you out there, and you were giving a lot of safeties hard times over the middle. You were getting on top of them vertical. You were getting the catches underneath them and able to, make them pay for coming up and try to tackle you. So tell me about the experience of going out there. You guys were the early undercard per se during practices. You guys got to be out there before everything with the main Tropical Bowl kicked off. So you got the scouts' attention to yourselves before everybody else got out there. Tell me about that experience for you.
I really enjoyed it. It was real fun. Just to go out there and, like I said, just any setting, just have fun. I wish it was more scouts out there because, like you said, we was out there early, and then right when our practice ended, you see a whole bunch of scouts and people coming out of nowhere. So it was like, hold on, where all these people was? Like, I just caught 10 passes back to back. So, but it was fun though. I just glad that I experienced it, especially doing it with players that's like say entering this upcoming draft, and then like say just having fun doing what we love. So I really enjoyed it.
See, I knew you were one of those guys that wanted to switch jerseys when practice was over for you guys. Like, I'm going to just jump right in with these guys. All right. So let's backtrack a little. So here we go. Bunch right, scissors, XY, search, H swing, queen. So who's got the scissors in that combination?
Scissors is the F and the Z on the bunch side.
Good. All right. So you're the Y. You have a search. What are you looking for?
So you looking at the leverage of the linebacker that's playing you. So he could be head up, outside or inside leverage. So if you're inside, you can break out. Then it should be quick to you. If you head up, really depends on how to feel. Based off of how they're playing a bunch. If you would like break out or break in versus somebody head up, and then somebody outside leverage of you, then you break in.
Perfect. All right. Then ZX has got a search as well, so you don't have to go through his. You don't have to
Not
go through
too
his
far
option. And H has the swing. So perfect. Great job. Just to show you got it right. There you go. All right. See, the tight ends will get it too, not just the quarterbacks. Right. So
I played quarterback a little bit in high school, so
okay. All right.
I'm pretty good with the offenses.
So that's a cheat code right there. That's a good thing. Yeah. So that's what helped me as a corner. So you have the big frame. You have the ability to get downfield. But tell me, what is your favorite route? What route do you want that quarterback to throw you every time?
Every time seam ball, especially if it's you reading 1 high, 2 high on the seam, or really anything coming across the middle too. So because I feel like I'm tall, I got a basketball background as well. So you just throw it, I'm gonna go get it. And especially if I have, no matter how tall the quarterback is, you can see me. I'm running across the middle, just throw it there. So yeah, anything across the middle, seam balls or corner route, really. Corner route, I feel like I can easily get open on those. Or anything short as well, because it's hard to tackle me too. So yeah.
So yeah, I know tight ends that would say, "Give me Y option all day. I'll catch that little 10-yard thing and punish people and run away from them if they're in man or whatever it is." Certain guys didn't want to run into that safety that they couldn't see coming. So you're one of the few. 6056, you could get away with that. There's not too many of them guys that want to do that. So you guys got any last questions for him before I throw my last ones out?
Yeah, my last question is, how did you navigate as a double transfer player? How did you navigate the process? You go through your initial recruitment going from high school to Alabama State. And I'm assuming that just was based on relationships. You felt like this place was a good fit for you. But now it's almost like being a professional, right? You're looking at it almost like a business proposition for the last couple of times that you change. And then I'll package it since we're running out of time. And tell me about your relationship with Derek Mazzotti, right? For the first time, you seem to have a real partner in crime, or partner in tight ending, or however you want to put it, once you get to UMass. So tell me about how you navigated your transfer process, and then tell me about what it was like. What was it like being in the same tight end room with Derek Mazzotti?
So yeah, Dom, that's my guy. That's we definitely brothers. We talk all the time. Really navigating the process, like I said, starting off at Clemson, coming out of high school to Clemson and experiencing that was a great experience. Especially you learn everything under Coach Sweeney. Those 3 seasons, my first 3 seasons of college, it just show you how to be a leader, what to expect, how to win, even how to lose. How do you train? literally everything. So navigating from going to Clemson to Alabama State, I graduate, which that led into me. I graduated from Clemson early. So I graduated 2.5 years. So I wanted to continue playing football, but play more on offense. Because I was playing special teams, and so it was like you said, definitely a business thing. I was just looking to experience being a starter, and then also like thinking that I was going to be used more, but going there like it was a whole new staff, like it was a whole new thing with that. So really, that's what started me just being a blocker in systems, and then when I leaving there to go to UMass, it was still business. Really, I wanted to go with, like you said, a familiar face. With Tyson, we played at Clemson together. We took our visit together, and like we did our photo shoot with each other. Like we always, when we was at Clemson, remember freshman year, we was always working out together. Like always on the field, we'll be there all day. Like be at the football facility all day and everything. So leaving and wanted to spend my last season, I was like, that's somebody I want to spend my last season with, and which we was roommates at one point as well from like the first in the spring. So but yeah, it was really a business decision, and then like I said, going there with Dom, we both like winning, so and we always cheer each other on. It was never no like no animosity towards each other. Like I said, like Dom was one of the funniest people, and he probably say I'm one of the funniest people. So like we always laughing with each other, and we made our time fun because even though we wasn't used as much as we wanted to, but we just did what we always communicated. We helped each other out. We did what we were supposed to. So, um, but yeah, it was pretty fun.
What do you think you learned from him, and what do you think he learned from you?
I don't know. I probably say he probably learned from me like the blocking aspect. Like because once we figured out that we mainly used as blockers, like and then me playing with a lot of NFL offensive linemen from Clemson, like at Clemson we did indie with the offensive line sometimes. So and then some of my close friends they play offensive line in the NFL as well. So just being working out with them and learning from them, like their techniques and stuff, like definitely easy with being at tight end. So I just pass it along with Dom as well. And then probably with Dom is super smart. Like he's like a like a genius. And, so like more like say more the was it the like conceptual like as far as like football, like I learned like the learning new defenses, and I was like, bro, I thought I knew most of all the defenses. Like Dom, he's like he know everything. Like, and that was like the running joke in the tight end room. Like, if you literally, actually, he do know everything. He know history facts. Like, it was funny. So, but yeah, we learned a lot from each other, but then also we competed with each other as well. Like that was another thing we wanted because we wanted each other to be better. So whether it's like answering questions about film, like who gonna answer it first, like we competing to who answer it first. So or who made the most plays in practice, like so yeah, we that was a good bond that we and like I said, we still got it to this day.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, here's a tough one. What is your favorite meal?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, Waffle House, like just going to Waffle House does easy. Like, cause I love breakfast, so anything from Waffle House. But if I had to do like a actual meal, I'd say probably like salmon and spinach.
Mm.
Oh, there
Like
you are.
at one point at Clemson, I literally ate that like all the time, 2 times a day, 3 times a day. So like I love spinach as well. So
We got our first fish man.
Indeed. Indeed. So we appreciate you coming on. Good luck this week out in Atlanta. We're rooting to see what happens there with you. Once again, enjoy the process. Not everybody gets to do it, so we're looking forward to seeing what happens. And by the way, keep doing what you did here in Florida. I look forward to seeing you do that at the next level somewhere. If you get your name called, we are here for you to come on here and celebrate. We'd love to see that. If not, if you get signed afterwards, we're here tonight, that Wednesday after, for you to come on and say, yeah, I'm going to be such and such showing off in camp. So by all means, you are a friend of the show officially, so you get to come back with carte blanche, right, during this process.
I think I'll definitely keep that in mind and definitely come on there. Like I said, definitely want to celebrate with y'all.
Excellent.
We appreciate you, Jaelyn. This is Jaelyn Lay, tight end, UMass. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So we have one more guest to go, guys. So we're going to go and get that ready right now. Wait for Ricky, and Ricky's going to come on. You got to give him a second. He's a little busy. He's coming from San Francisco. He was out at the San Francisco workout. So,
Excellent.
This is that time of the year where we're getting guys coming for workouts and pro days, and so they gotta get a bite to eat in them. They gotta get some chow, all that good stuff before we get them on the show. We can't have any hangry guys coming on here, right? So, Ricky, welcome to the show. We know you've been busy today, so we want to make sure we take care of you.
How you doing, man? Appreciate y'all for having me.
Listen, man. I'm telling you, the voices always sound better when they're coming from above. You guys are all over 6'1" and above, man. It always sounds better when y'all are talking to us. All of us guys are former DB, so we didn't break the 6 foot barrier.
Oh, man.
I am.
What's that, Greg?
I am 6 foot even.
Okay, so Greg just hit the surface. All right,
That's right.
Greg counts as the 1 6 footer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great.
Me and Bill played in the small DB days. So,
Yeah.
So, you were in San Francisco today working out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How'd that go for you?
Man, getting the invite to the local day was nothing but a blessing, and today I just kind of wanted to, showcase my abilities, showcase that I'm a big athletic defensive lineman, and I feel like I did exactly that today, and I feel like things went well. Went out there and showcased my abilities, showcased what kind of person I am and how hungry I am for a shot. So I feel like today went well.
Wonderful. And you're part of a loaded Cal class. We were talking about a lot of your teammates. Bill, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't look at
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to both Noel Williams and Darren Wooden, and Teddy Buchanan had a pretty good day at the office at the combine. I almost said to myself, wait, how did people score on Cal? I go back and look at some of the guys that were there and go back and throw it on the tape. Can you tell us about what attracted you to Cal, and why does Cal have so many good defensive players right now, or coming out right now?
Yeah, man, in the process, the process for me was a little bit different in high school, battling a couple of injuries and stuff. So recruiting for me was, it was up. Everyone was recruiting me, 6'4", 320, this big guy out of Fresno, but then I got hurt, and Cal was kind of school to really stick with me through that process, the healing process. They checked on me every month, and they really it felt like family. I went up there being from Fresno, 2 hours away. I visited there a lot and kind of I felt a sense of family and felt that, this was where I'd be comfortable working at. So that attracted me there football wise. And then, being a #1 public university in the world, man, it's nothing like it. You get to experience not only on the field and off the field and just experiencing all the different cultures and, people coming from anywhere and everywhere, man. It was just a no-brainer.
And that leads me to my next question. You are a big guy, and you know, in my notes, I think I threw down a working class man's Leonard Williams, I think is one of the things I threw in there. Tell me a little bit about how you've been used in the defense you were in and what things you're hearing the NFL scouts see for you projecting forward.
Yeah, man. Really, ever since I came in, with being with Coach Browning and stuff, his emphasis was really big on, stopping the run first. If an offensive team is running the ball, it's going to be an easy day in the office for them. They could do whatever they want. They're dictating the line of scrimmage, pushing us around. So I think that, the way I was used this year, we have a really tough, gritty mindset on defense, with guys like Craig Woodson, Noah Williams, Teddy, and all those guys. We all carry the same mindset that, we're not going to let anyone push us around and beat us up. So, I was used as kind of the guy to plug up the middle and just stop the run, man. Be a big and movable force in there and just cause havoc and be heavy-handed at the line of scrimmage and knock people back. So I feel like I was really mainly used as a run defender, and that's what I like to do. So I had no problems with it at all.
Okay. And you mentioned, having heavy hands, which is one of those things that, some people just have it naturally, obviously. And then some people work on it, things you work on. Some people hit the heavy bag, like, actual boxing stuff. There's people who get involved in grappling. There's people who do, grip strengthening and other kinds of things like that to try to build that power in your hands. What have you done? What have you worked on so that people feel that pop in your hands when you put your hands on them?
Definitely, boxing has definitely increased my hand speed, hand power, and everything. I want to say I started in 2022 and 2023. I kind of there's a boxing gym at home, some local guys, that are hungry for work, and they allowed me to come in and get in the gym with them. And man, it's just helped me tremendously, with overcoming. Like, I had a couple wrist injuries and stuff, and it's just helped me rehab that and get used to using my hands, being powerful, man, and striking through people, not just, striking to get people off of me or whatever. I want to strike through the man. So definitely hitting that heavy bag and just learning how to throw a punch and learning how to, how your body, your mechanics and everything. It's not just throwing the punch. You have to bring your hips through and everything, and learning all of that has definitely allowed me to, refine that technique and have a heavy blow at the line of scrimmage. So definitely something I've been working on, and I'm still doing some boxing to this day. Got to keep the reflexes sharp and all that. So that's something I enjoy doing in the off time, just to stay in shape and all that.
And before I, stop monopolizing your time and energy, let other people get in here. Are you physically, height, weight, body composition, where you want to be? And if not, what are some of the things you still want to work on and improve?
I would say right now, sitting at around, 328, 330 range. I think just refining my body to where I have a lot more body fat than I do. A lot more muscle than I do body fat. So really just getting with my trainers, and I started off, pro day training and stuff. I was at, I believe like 30% body fat, and I got down to 24 within 2 months. So just keeping that up and just keeping, really building my upper body and just building the core strength and all that, and just building strength. That's the main thing for me right now, is just to build my strength to, the level that it needs to be, to where I feel confident, going up there and playing with the big dogs. So
thank you.
Greg.
Yeah, well, one thing I've noticed about your play, you do not have the issue that so many defensive tackles and other guys out there who are big boys have with pad level.
yeah.
you have very solid pad level. Can you explain to the people out here why the pad level comes into play?
Definitely, man, pad level was something that I had to work on playing D line all of my life. You know, being a taller guy, got listed at 6'3" at pro day, but I'm really 6'4" with cleats. But you know, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, being playing defensive line, man, a lot of those interior linemen they're around 6'2", and they're 320 pounds. They're short and they're stout. So if you allow them to get under you and get to you first, get inside your chest first, your leverage is just off, and that's what creates the movement for them. The offensive line, that's what they look for. They want to get under you and lift you up. And for us as D linemen, man, we're trying to come out kind of like our coach, kind of being the tip of the spear, man. Like we want to be at a 45-degree angle, just coming out, lifting them up and knocking them back. So pad level, you hear it all the time in football, the lowest man wins, but that really is true when it comes to playing in the trenches, So you got to have, great pad level and great hands and keep your feet active. And that's what, that's the recipe for stopping the run. So I felt like it definitely took me some time to, get to where I'm at with that. And I'm still working on it, but definitely have improved on that this year. And I'm, happy to see that.
It's also the key to stopping that thing called the tush push that the Eagles do. It's not about being big and wide. It's about getting down on the leverage, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you with stopping that, I've seen a lot of guys, just try to lay people. They, the Chiefs did the thing where they laid Chris Jones across the line sideways, and
man, that just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, with that, have to, like I said, be the tip of the spear and just break through all those massive bodies. They have a huge offensive line over there at the Eagles, so just find a way to dig through all of that and create some knockback on the other side, so you don't get that momentum going. But,
were you raised by a Marine, by the way?
No, sir. My
okay, because I was a Marine, so I knew what the tip of the spear is.
Yeah, the thing I got from my coach, man, Andrew Browning, he's a really good guy. So everything he said in the meeting room definitely stuck with me. So all the D-line terminology and stuff, I definitely put that in my back pocket.
There you go. Do you prefer being the one technique?
I could play anything, from 1 to 0 to 3. On my film, you'll see a little bit earlier in my career, I've played a lot of 3-tech.
Three tech.
Yeah, and I've played a little bit of 4-eye at times as well. So I'm pretty versatile, I'll say, when it comes to, anywhere on the line. I could, line up and play. It's just a matter of, what the defense feels like I'll be most useful in. So I feel like I'm versatile. I'm able to play anything inside, but outside is a different story. I'm not fast enough for that. But but anywhere on the inside, I love to play, and it's it's all football to me, and I love getting better at new things. So I played anything. I told my coach I want to be able to be versatile and be able to be a weapon at anywhere for you guys. So that's one thing I feel like I could do really well.
So what was your best game this year? And what was your toughest game this year?
Best game, I would definitely have to say against Pitt. That was my first game coming off an injury and stuff, and I was, really just hungry to prove that, I'm still the player that people had me out to be. So I had a great game there, and I would say the toughest game.
Because it wasn't against Stanford, because those guys just both. No, it was. No, you.
I would say definitely. NC State had really good. They had an old lineman. I forget his name, but he's projected to go pretty high in the draft this year. But they had
Belton maybe
pretty tough O line. So I would say that would be one of my toughest games versus NC State.
There you are. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. So I got to see your teammate, Xavier Carlton.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cooler Bowl. How do you feel you guys played together?
Me and X-Man, being from the Central Rallies, me and him had a great connection off the field, man. That's, one of my closest brothers. And, on the field, I felt like we communicated really well. You know, the times that we were on the field together, with him being the guy that just creates havoc, and him using his length and me using the strength that I have to fight off double teams and help him get to tackles, and him funneling the ball right to me. I felt like we played off of each other really well this year. And man, I was blessed to have him on the edge because, you know, he's, like I said, he's a real, you know, havoc guy. He's going to create some pressure, get some TFL. So having him was definitely a lot of help.
All right. Next level's getting just like college, you know, a lot of lighter boxes, a lot of nickel packages. So you guys are asked to do a lot now.
Yeah.
You got to play the run while still trying to impact the pocket, right?
Yes.
What is your best technique for fighting off the combo blocks that you see at the you know, not only at your current level, but you're going to see at the next level?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, fighting combos is, you know, people think combos are really about getting the second guy off of you, but it's really the guy that you're aligned on that's going to be creating most of the knockback that the O-line is looking for. So for us, we were taught, you know, if I'm playing in a one tech and I have lined up over the center and him and the guard have a double team on me, I'm going to try to give everything I can and knock the center back. So that way, the adjacent guy, the guard, he can't even waste his time to bump my hip and climb. He has to climb right away. And that's how you, like, you know, that's how our coach taught us to defeat combo blocks, you know, get the man on key and just get him on levels. So I feel like really this year, you know, I have, you know, examples in my film of me, you know, the guy I'm aligned on, getting him knocked back 2 to 3 yards into the backfield, and the guard has to climb up immediately, and it allows me to make the play. So definitely doing that is a way to defeat the combos. There's a couple of different ways, but that's the way we were taught.
All right. What are the words block destruction mean to you?
Violence, man. Just violence. You're coming up your hips, man, just being explosive as you can. You know, our coach said we got to kind of be like a cobra just waiting to strike, you know, in our stance, just waiting to unload on the guy. So just block destruction means just really running through somebody's face, man. And, you know, being able to know when to stop kicking someone's butt and make the play. So it's just it's a controlled violence, but the main thing is just being as explosive as you possibly can.
All right. Everybody wants to play fast now. A lot of defensive coordinators play the run to the QB.
Yeah.
How do you get off blocks quick enough that you can impact the pocket as well as make plays in the backfield?
I feel like a lot of the splash plays and TFLs you see from guys are just off the field. You know, no one's really ever thinking about what they're going to do when they do it. When you're out on the field, if you're thinking, you're lost. You know, you're already a step behind. So just being able to, you know, it comes with experience, but at the same time, you know, just being able to be out there and, you know, feel when I may have a 1-on-1, this slide's going left, I'm on the right side, you know, I'm getting the box. So just knowing that if I could throw a quick swim or a quick rip outside, I could beat this guy and, you know, be in the backfield before the play develops. It's just really a field thing, you know, or in the run game too as well. You know, they have you know, I'm stunning away from it. I know that the adjacent guy is coming down right now, so if I beat him to his spot, basically, I'm going to be unblocked. And, you know, that's lights out from there. So it's kind of just a lot of people think it's just, you know, just being the guy just runs straight, runs side to side, and they don't really have any smarts involved to the game. But it really comes down to, you know, feeling this and feeling that, and being able to know the little things within the game, and that'll help you play faster and create more havoc.
Okay. One of the biggest challenges you're going to face is you're no longer bigger than the guy in front of you anymore. A lot of the guys are going to be your size and bigger in some cases. Are you ready to take on that next challenge where the guy across from you may be, sometimes he's a better athlete, sometimes he's not? It's a big change when you go up from being big man on campus to all of a sudden you're just another fish in the sea.
Yep. Man, you know, I think about that a lot, like watching guys like Jason Kelsey, you know, there's a clip of him taking a one take and with one hand lifting him up and throwing him out the way like he's nothing, you know, and that's just like I said earlier, that's just motivating me to get in that gym and just keep hitting the weight room, you know. So I don't want to end up like that guy, but yeah, man. I feel like, you know, I'm ready for it. You know, challenges like that is, you know, what we work for. It's what we live for, man. You know, I want to always test myself against the best and see where I'm at and see what I need to work on. So, you know, challenges, you know, I really want to, if I don't end up on the Eagles or anything like that, playing against their line, I think that would be, you know, one of my biggest dreams because, you know, playing against the top of the top is what I want to do. So just seeing what I could do out there and just having the confidence that, you know, whoever I line up against, that, you know, we're going to get some good work and it's not going to be a one-sided ball game at all. So I'm excited, man.
Okay. Most guys that end up being great players always have some kind of motivation. For some guys, it was to be the all-time leader. Some guys, it's just, I got to be the best every down and show my dominance because I'm just an alpha. You know, what is your motivation to be the best at what you do?
Man, I would say my motivation, man, is I want to prove things to myself. You know, going through a lot of injuries in your career and stuff like that. I went through a couple of. It kind of can take a toll on the mental, just as far as this, like, you know, can I really do this? Can I really you know, can I really still be the person I was before that got me here? And you know, I play for my family and all that, but really, you know, when I get on the field, you know, I want to be the best at what I do personally. So I hold myself to a really high standard, man. And, you know, I feel like if I don't hit those marks in practice or in the weight room or, you know, especially in the games, you know, I hold myself to a super high standard. I want to be, you know, I want to be a difference maker. So if I'm not out there making a difference, if I'm out there just looking like the rest, then, you know, they can get anybody to do that. So I want to be a difference maker, and that's what motivates me.
All right. Any final questions, guys?
Sure. My final question, well, it's a two-parter, I guess. You mentioned that you have played even a little bit of 4i. You played quite a bit of 3, and of course you played the 0 and the 1. What are the things, both physically and mentally, you do differently when you're going here and then further out and further out and further out? You know, you're head up, then you're splitting the gap, then you're head up, then you're splitting the gap. What things change for you as you move further and further away from the football?
Man, I feel like D-line play definitely, the closer you get to the ball, the faster things are and the faster you react because, you know, the closer you are to the ball, that's when the blocks have to happen for the O-line right now. And as far as, you know, when you get closer and closer to the edge, you have time for the play to kind of develop and you can see more of the O-lineman's departure and kind of read him more and kind of figure out, you know, what he's really going to do, what step he's taking, you know, what block look am I getting. So anything, you know, from the playing head up, playing 1 tech, 2i, and 3 tech, you know, it happens right now. Like everything is quick, but once you get into 4i and playing a 4 tech and all that stuff, you know, tackles usually they sometimes hinge out to the overhang guy if you have a guy out there, or you could get a combo depending on, you know, if you're getting a counter look or a power look. So it kind of just depends. But I feel like the main thing is it happens faster in the interior, and the further you get out, the more the play has time to develop.
And I think people understand the importance of film study, but I don't think they understand how important it is for guys that play where you play. As you said, things happen literally in under a second sometimes for you, right? You don't have a lot of time to read and react. No, there's not. But film study is incredibly important. Tell me about a play that you made in your career that was a film study play, a play that you would not have made if you had not spotted something, whether it be a particular technique or something about alignment or something about, you know, something that they tend to do in terms of their, you know, favorite types of things that you spotted and allowed you to make the play.
Yeah. So, you know, watching a lot of film and just experience alone has helped me, kind of with this, I know if we're playing in an odd front and a team that likes to run counter, me playing a zero, they have to go down on everybody. So knowing that I'm lined up over the center, my coaches gave me the freedom that, if I know it's going to be counter and I know we're playing a team that runs a lot of counter, that once the ball is hiked, the center, if he goes away from me, goes down, the adjacent guard is going to come down on me. I'm able to swing that and go make the play. So anytime we're head up and I know we're playing a counter heavy team, I'm expecting that, and I've made quite a few plays off just swimming the back block and going up and making the play just because I know that this is a counter run team and this is what they want to do. So as soon as I get this look, I know exactly what I'm going to do to be able to make the play in the backfield. So I've had I would say about 4 or 5 plays on my tape where I'm just swimming back blocks and making the play. And those are kind of the freebies that you talk about when you're just watching film. So yeah,
Excellent. Okay, for real this time, my final question. For real, who are your favorite guys to watch? Who do you like to learn from about defensive tackle play?
I've watched definitely a lot of Kenny Clark, a lot of his film, being on the Green Bay Packers. He's a bigger guy. He weighs a little bit less than me, but I feel like I kind of resemble his play style and the style of his rushes and all that. He's really like he's a big, powerful guy. And you can tell on his tape that he's not only powerful, he's agile as well. He's able to move. And, him being listed as a nose tackle, but he's a versatile guy. He's played 3 tech a lot in his career. He's played 1 tech. He's played 0. So, I try to model my game after him. Honestly, just big, agile defensive lineman that's able to create havoc and make plays. So I really love watching him. And yeah, he's just been like something like I'm modeling my game after.
Thank you,
Greg.
All right, this is the toughest question of the night. What is your favorite meal?
Man, if you put any type of hibachi and bacon fried rice in front of you,
we love it because tonight's the first night where we did not have steak and potato.
There we go.
That's too basic.
Nobody mentioned potatoes or steak so far. That's true.
Exactly. We got some fine cuisine happening tonight.
There we go.
It's about time.
Man, any type of hibachi, man. It's on. I might need another plate. Definitely another plate.
Do you get the sushi with the hibachi or just the hibachi?
Sushi, definitely. I see. The thing is, I wasn't a fan. Before college, wasn't a fan. But, going to the Bay Area and and experience stuff. And sushi, I've been missing out. So I definitely get that.
Do you have a favorite spot near campus where you like to go?
There's a place. It's called, I think, Hana Japan. It's kind of by the Berkeley Marina. This has a nice view of the water and stuff. So definitely been there quite a few times. So
excellent. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ricky, you've had a big day, so we're gonna let you get some rest. We appreciate you coming on. Thanks for making the time to come talk to us. We're looking forward to see where this goes with you. You get your name called. You're more than happy to come on here and celebrate with us. We love seeing the guys have their big moment. If you get called afterwards, you're more than happy to come on the week after the draft, and we'll recap and everything and tell us where you're going to be and show and glow all over that, because plain and simple, it's a privilege being there, and we're excited to see what happens for you guys.
Man, I appreciate you guys for having me on, man, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. You guys asked some great questions, so I appreciate it, man.
and from this old Marine, I'll give you an hoorah because you understand what the tip of the spear is.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for making time in the most important time, and you had some great answers. So it was well done on your behalf.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Shout out to Chris in the chat. I see Chris in there chiming in for you. So, all right. Thanks for coming on, Ricky. Have a great night, man. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. You guys too, man.
All right. Take care, Ricky.
Ricky Correia, D tackle, California.
The big man.
So, guys, we have gone
A new record.
overtime and then some, because we had a lot of guests. We had one guest miss tonight, but we'll try to see what happened there. But nevertheless, all right, we had some great guests, great insight. We're back next week. Next week, we are officially 1 week away from the draft. Next week. We have more guests coming through.
Yes.
Well, in about 8 minutes, we're actually going to be 2 weeks away from the draft.
Yes. All right, so we'll have Christoph Atkinson, and lineman from Ohio, Jay Jones, safety, Southern Miss, Loic Fonji, wide receiver Vanderbilt, coming through next week.
Yep.
And there's no topic, so we can just jump right into guests next week. So
there we go.
Fill in. So yeah, this is the open show, so we may actually add one or two if we try to get some guys that missed. But definitely, we thank everybody for sticking around for 2.5 hours while we talk NFL draft. We realize it's getting close and people getting antsy and they're excited. We like that. You should be excited about the draft. You're excited about the future of your franchise that you root for. This is the best part about it. Yes, free agency is nice, but you want to see the guys that are going to come in and be the lifeblood of your franchise from start to finish. Trust me, there are guys that end up in round 7. If you ask the 49ers, plain and simple, they're the lifeblood of their franchise.
There you go.
Pay attention to every pick, folks. Even the
Isaiah
guys
Pacheco for the Chiefs, another 7th-round guy, right? I mean,
yes.
The history of the NFL with these late-round picks is very deep. It is these guys deserve their moment in the sunshine just as much as anybody who's a top 100 guy that everybody talks about.
100%.
Duron Bland.
There we go.
5th round pick.
Fifth round pick, Fresno State, right?
Speaking of Fresno, California.
He was supposed to be just this inside corner. Well, what does he do? He plays inside, he plays outside, and he sets the record for the most touchdowns for a DB ever in a season.
Yep.
These guys do contribute to the NFL, folks.
Yep.
Listen, my education on late round picks was I'm watching NFL classics and they're talking about Deacon Jones and realizing he was a 14th
round pick.
Yes.
One of the most prolific pass rushers of all time was a 14th round pick.
I think Staubach was a 10th rounder.
10th round.
Yeah. Although he probably would have gone if he didn't have the commitment. He probably would have gone soon.
But yeah.
Deacon Jones, though, he was the head slap master, and that's not allowed anymore.
Well, they changed it because of him. That's why.
That's right. I could just imagine the number of concussions that man actually gave out a week.
Exactly.
And his hands weren't small. So
no, I met Deacon Jones. Yeah. He was a big man.
Big man. Yes.
Well, it's been a big night. It's time for us to get some rest because we got to get back to work in the morning and get back to get things ready for the draft. We're live all 3 days once again. Right? We have some great stuff coming this time around. Trust me, the production value is there. The content you already know is there. This is not going to be just your ordinary draft show. We are going to be rolling in content for 3 straight days. Enjoy it. Come on and hang out with us. Have a great time with Team of BS Media. With Greg Rector, Bill Carroll, Jeff Barnes here. Say good night. See you next week here on Team of BS Media.